This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Coppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
You know, we failed, but I thought it was a great effort. I thought that the plan was laid out perfectly.
Jake Bockoven.
I'm not sure I get my point across properly. I'm sure I don't do a good job of explaining what I mean.
Tom and Bock starts now.
Hey, look at us go, Bock. We're back. They had us back after the handoff. That's what we're calling it with Happer and Schaefer. I thought it went flawlessly, the handoff. There was no fumbles, as far as I remember. The exchange was good. We all knew the snap count.
Didn't run the wrong way.
That's right. Nobody ran the wrong way. All of it was fantastic. It is Tom and Bock. And already we got a phone call. So maybe this is the benefit of being on the handoff. We'll just get phone calls to start our show, and it'll be easy. We'll just sail through 3 hours like it would nothing. Let's take a call from Eric on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. We also have the Sutter Heyman text line for you, 464-5685. Hi, Eric. How are you?
Well, good morning.
Morning.
What you guys were just talking about is absolutely like driving me and some of my friends that talk about this stuff absolutely nuts. When Frost, every time this guy has talks about this thing with the special teams and it not being the special teams, it's the specialists. But the same guy says, I'm not going to call out individual players when they asked him one time about, you know, who's making the mistakes or whatever. Well, guess what? We all pay close enough attention. We all know who the specialists are by name. So we know who you're calling out. And the other thing is, too, the last time I checked in the Oklahoma game, Kellen Meyer gets one chance to kick, and the kid's got a cannon for a leg. And his kick gets blocked, not because he's screwed up, but because we have a lineman who can't hold a block for a half a second. So, okay, it's not the specialists, it's these special teams. I don't know why we just keep letting this guy make excuses. And a lot of people, not you guys, but there's a lot of media people around here that just keep excusing this stuff away, giving him the benefit of the doubt for everything when he's constantly talking out of his tail. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Right.
Have a good one, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Eric.
I don't think you're going to get a lot of argument from me. Maybe not Bock either. We mentioned this just moments ago that Nebraska is 125th in special teams. Some have actually Nebraska even lower than that. You can only go to 130.
Yeah.
But they're not good at really anything. They're not great at anything. They've improved. And so maybe that's why Frost keeps saying, hey, you know, we have improved. Yeah, from a disaster to just bad.
I mean, it's still a disaster.
It's still
some of it's getting better as the season goes on, I guess, but it's not a whole lot better. And
you just missed 2 more kicks,
right?
You came out of the Ohio State game missing 2 more. I think they had already led the country in missed kicks.
Yeah, they were tied for the lead.
Now they're tied for the lead. I think at 8.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple other teams that have missed 8 field goals. Nebraska's right there. But as I mentioned just moments ago, Nebraska's 123rd nationally in punt return yardage. They have the second fewest kickoff return yardage in the Big Ten, and they're 124th nationally in that category. Now, the Big Ten does have some good kickers. We just saw a kicker make 4 of them. Ruggles was really good. Ruggles, yeah, he was really good for Ohio State, and he hasn't missed all year. He's 12 for 12. So that's
he hits him right down the middle.
Yeah. And Nebraska also had the kicker of the year in the conference last year, and a pretty good kicking conference. And then it for inexplicable reasons, it just went south. They've been bad at punting. And I thought it was always a little bit of a risk to bring an Australian punter, and maybe it'll work out for Cherney at some point. He was replaced by William Pristip, and Pristip, I thought, really hurt Nebraska with the 13-yard punt against Ohio State. Cherney cost Nebraska in some ways, in a big part, by kicking the wrong direction against Michigan State and the kick return there, the punt return there. We know about all the disasters that have happened in previous years. I think you've gotten the kickoff team at least solved a little bit.
I think in there you found the specialist.
Yeah.
I think there it's just the specialist. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't the Frankie? Because I mean, all you need is Frankie to kick it out of the end zone, and he does it more often than not, or at least to a point where they don't want to return it. So I mean, it's true that a specialist can cover a lot of this up, and that a lot of it does come down to the kicking or the punting, but you got to be able to get them. I mean, that's coaching, is to get a better performance out of your players, a consistent performance out of your players. And they just haven't been getting it. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, I like somebody on the text line is saying, like the offensive line isn't the problem. It's the blocking specialist or the running back's not the problem. It's the running specialist, right? I mean, because it goes back to, it always comes down to the player, but the player always comes back to ultimately what the coach is doing to make him better or them better as you progress, especially through 4 or 5 years, because you're gonna have multiple guys. And I mean, I'm interested to see the quarterback position too, because finally you have to move off of Adrian Martinez, and
maybe
so
not.
you're gonna have
Who
to.
knows?
Yeah, that's true. I guess I made that.
Well, let's face it. We think we're moving on from Adrian Martinez. I agree with you. It felt like that this is the end, even when he spoke to the media following the game. But this off the text line, sometimes you focus on the kicker, but sometimes it's the holders and sometimes it's the snappers. But that makes me believe it's not just the specialists. It's everybody. And Pristep mentioned on his 13-yard punt, that's when Nebraska had replaced their long snapper. There was maybe a confidence issue there. It looked like a decent snap, though. He just, as he said, he pulled his head up. Sometimes happens with a golfer. Sometimes happens with a kicker. It is a delicate position. Guys go in slumps. I get it. And I don't blame it all on the specialists. It's everybody that collectively has made up a bad special teams. And for Frost to say that it's a possibility that they'll go with a full-time special teams coordinator makes me shrug my shoulders and shake my head and think, are you really still even now not taking this seriously? Are you not taking it seriously now?
And at some point, there's got to be like an idea of a limit you can do in the transfer portal, right? You can't go out there and get a kicker and a punter and a kick returner and a punt returner and a quarterback and an offensive tackle. I mean, at some point, you're not going to be able to get all these places and at least replace all your players with all-stars there. You're going to have to coach some of these positions up. You're going to have to get better from within. The transfer portal is going to be huge, but that's a lot to ask. And I just don't, for me, whether it's Dawson or whoever, it's always been in-house within these guys' hands. So how's it going to get better next year? Why would I have any hope that it's going to get better? You're just hoping that the specialists start doing, hitting better. That can help a little bit, but I still don't expect any help from the kick return unit and punt return unit. And again, it goes beyond just, well, we're 124th. If we were even 60th, that'd be beat top 10. Like, have a focus on it. Prioritize it. This will help you win games. There's 10 punters for the Ray Guy Award right now. Semifinalists. You know how many of them are in the Big Ten? 5. Half of the nation's best punters are in the Big Ten. All over the league. These are the type of things special teams and defense can win you these type of games and one-score games. I mean, I don't know if all of this is just happenstance. You're losing all these one-score games and you're not paying any attention to special teams.
And in a league, I would add, 5 of the 10 best punters, kickers are in the Big Ten. And in a league, it's not always easy to kick. Nebraska gets pretty windy. There are other cities that I would imagine you'd rather go, for example, if you're Alex Henry, than Philadelphia, where he ended up.
Right.
I mean, you don't always want to kick in those types of environments. You want to find a dome and live happily ever after.
Get drafted by the Broncos.
But
That's
the
the
Big
best
Ten
way.
doesn't have any of those. So you have to kick in environments that are tough to kick in, and they still perform usually at a very high level. And Nebraska has historically. There was a time DP used to laugh at me. I would call Nebraska kicker you.
Oh, yeah.
And they went through a streak where that was the case. Not just Alex Henry, but Pat Smith and Brett Maher and on it. I mean, the Brown, Chris, obviously both Browns were really good. And actually all 3. There was Josh, there was Chris, and there was Drew.
Yep.
Were all very good. Nebraska had always developed punters, and Sam Cook is still in the NFL.
Yeah.
What is it going on? 18 years, something like
Yeah,
that. It
it's a
feels like
crazy-
it's been forever.
Kyle Larson was
Kyle
there forever.
Larson-
Sam Foltz was going to be a long time NFL
Foltz
punter.
was going to be a big time, and so it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
Where Nebraska just went from really good to disastrous. It's really kind of amazing. I don't want to be known as Kicker U.
I do. Absolutely.
Well,
do.
over offensive lineman U, I think I'd go with that. But I'll take anything I can get.
Yeah, any U sounds
Any
pretty
U
good.
would be
It
good.
doesn't
And-
hold you back from being linebacker U if you're kicker U.
No,
You can still go
we
do
can
those
have
things
all the
too.
U's
Yeah.
that we want. And just last year, again, you did have the Big Ten Kicker of the Year, and then, but it wasn't like the punting were. Outside of that, the special teams were not good.
Well, that and it's like we've been saying, it's not easy. You can get in your head, and Connor Culp did an excellent job, but he wasn't booting like 50 yarders.
Yeah.
Nobody was convinced Connor Culp was Alex Henry, right? I mean, it was he just kind of and the rest of the league, which usually, like we talk about, was good. Iowa had an All-American type, Lou Groza type of semifinals the previous year. They just kind of have an off year, so I mean, it does happen, and maybe Connor Culp can get it back. And I'm interested to see if he's running out there place kicker this week, because obviously it didn't really work with Contreras to sub him in there. We'll see, and maybe just a benching for a few games can get him back on track. Let's hope so.
If you were to pick one, and the text line ad said running back U, that would be a good one. Like
if you could be somewhat that way, yeah.
If you could be linebacker U, if you could be offensive line U, if you could be wide receiver U, quarterback U, which one would you pick?
Oh, I'd pick quarterback U.
Yeah,
that sounds pretty stable, right?
It seems like it, but Nebraska's had a They had a quarterback in 2018 that was one of the front runners for the Heisman. We were starting, and yet that I think I'd go back to offensive line U, which means running back U. If you have a great offensive line, you've got probably a pretty good running back as well, and a pretty good running game, and maybe you don't have to rely on quarterback U all the time. I think I'd take offensive line.
You're big on that. Are you pretty hopeful that they tweak the offense to simplify it for one, and then another just take a lot of it off the quarterback? Is that kind of your hope for the change this offseason?
I want the quarterback. I like the style of quarterback that Nebraska's had, whether you're talking about Adrian or Tommy or Taylor. Maybe not the best passer in the world, but that doesn't mean you have to make mistakes just because you're not the most accurate guy in the world.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys are, make up for it in one other dimension. I don't necessarily want a Peyton Thorne. But I'd like an upgrade as far as the decision-making is concerned.
Yeah. And maybe some of that's taken.
There's not a lot of quarterbacks in this league I would choose over Adrian. I still say that, even with the performance that happened against. I mean, Iowa State was a good performance. I thought overall, considering the high ankle sprain.
Purdue sure wasn't.
Purdue was terrible. Purdue was absolutely terrible. But he hasn't had a lot of those clunkers on the year. I don't know. I think I would just say, let's build an offensive line, and whether we have a great quarterback or not, we can still move the football.
Well, I'm fascinated just by this Adrian Martinez thing, and we'll see how it plays out. Sounds like they're going to be full strength, other than JoJo's kind of got a decision to make. But Scott Frost said the other day, everybody else full strength, which leads you to believe they're going to start Adrian. There's been some thoughts among the fan base. Maybe if this season's already written off, go to Logan, see what you have, see if he can build some confidence in him. But sounds like they're sticking with Adrian, and it's just fascinating because he could come back. I mean, he hasn't made his decision. Seems like all points are pointing that he would probably leave at this point, but the team's not better with him leaving. They just aren't. They're going to have to hit the transfer portal and hope that guy can come in and take the reins, or that Logan gets so significantly better that the coaching staff believes in him quite a bit. And I'll keep saying it. I don't think that Logan has gotten their trust nearly as much as Luke McCaffrey did. And Luke McCaffrey couldn't throw the ball, 20 yards downfield. So I don't know where their faith is in Logan. I don't think it's very high. So I think they're going to have to hit the transfer portal, and they're going to lose Adrian Martinez. And especially if he transfers, it's going to be fascinating to see what kind of success he has, because he's going to be at the top of the transfer portal list, and Nebraska's going to be looking for a quarterback.
What if he had Joe Burrow type of success next year and won a Heisman?
I wouldn't count it out. That's how Nebraska fans live.
That would be something that would happen to Nebraska. 464-5685. I'd love to hear from you today on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Sutter Heyman text line, somebody says, O-line you because everybody's better around him. You know, running backs, quarterbacks, everybody. I think I would take the offensive line.
Yeah.
If you're going to become a U, that's the place where Nebraska could dramatically get better without, you can get, if you can improve yourself through the transfer portal at the offensive line position, maybe you could go get a running back that could be a difference maker. We've seen that at Michigan State. They've proven that you can do that by getting experienced guys in the transfer portal and then a great running back to go with him. Kenneth Walker, if he wins the Heisman, he's not doing it alone. That's a good offensive line that he's running behind. And so that's where I would start. Let's get to break and come back with Robin Washut. We'll talk a little Husker hoops and a little Husker football with Robin of Husker Online coming up next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock. Early break with Sip and Jake.
This is what Rob Aller says. Ryan Day is clearly comfortable enough in his own unshaven skin not to care what others think. Whether that means saying goodbye to facial grooming or going for it on 4th and 3 when the prudent play might be to kick a field goal.
Do you hear yourself talking right now? This
is
is ridiculous.
I read it on Sunday and did not think it was ridiculous.
You're crazy.
I did not think it was
That's
ridiculous.
so dumb.
I didn't think it was ridiculous.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air's motto is our family serving yours. That starts with how we hire. We go through an extensive interview process to really get to know you and show you who we are. We want to help you build a great career, be challenged, have fun, and bring home an excellent weekly paycheck. We offer competitive wages with benefits, including a day off for your birthday. Apply to be a part of the John Henry's family at jhlincoln.com. That's jhlincoln.com.
John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. November's beers of the month are from Nebraska Brewing Company, Oscar Blues Dale's Pale Ale, and Avery Brewing. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
Lay the groundwork for more harvesting capacity when you order new John Deere combines and headers during Landmark Implement's early order program. Whether you're looking to improve your existing combine, corn head, or flex draper, or you've been wanting to update to a new model year, now is the time to upgrade. Get the very latest harvesting equipment and technology that fit your operations needs. Get your new John Deere harvest equipment built just the way you want. Contact your local Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
At Southeast Community College, we know that winter isn't even here yet, but spring is already on our minds. Registration for the spring 2022 semester is open now. Whether you want to get a head start on a 4-year degree, learn a new trade with a certificate program, or add to your job skills, SCC has a class for you. Spring semester starts January 10th. Learn more about our more than 60 programs of study online at southeast.edu. SCC, your path to possible.
Man, we sure could use an easy win this season. I hear ya. That's why I suggested to the wife that we go to Magical Lights of Seward, the area's largest and most entertaining drive-through Christmas light show. So, by suggesting going to Magical Lights of Seward, you got a win? Yeah, my wife said it was the best idea I'd had in a long time. The kids loved the dazzling light show, synced with traditional and modern Christmas music, and we had an affordable, fun family experience. Get your win too by pre-ordering your tickets today at magicallightsofseward.com/ticket. Beatrice Bakery has been serving Nebraska with one-of-a-kind Grandma's Fruitcake since 1964. You already know that, but did you know they offer way more than that? You've got to try their line of liqueur cakes, like the strawberry daiquiri cake or the vanilla rum cake. Or what about their breakfast breads, the banana nut bread, or their various streusel coffee cakes? Whatever the occasion, Beatrice Bakery has something for you. Oh yeah, and Grandma's Fruitcake? It's still pretty darn good. Beatrice Bakery, located in downtown Beatrice, or always online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
One-on-one with DP.
Let's bring in Husker Baseball's Camp Chick. You guys battled, but you guys had fun.
Yeah, I think it's just because we loved each other. Last year and my freshman year, the two closest teams I've ever been a part of in my entire life. We would spin until almost midnight curfews on the weekends playing two-ball in the hotel conference.
Every
and most
baseball
people,
player
yeah,
just
most
applauded.
people don't even know that curfew would be at 11:30 or 12 if it was a later game, and we'd all be in there sweat.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. It is Tom and Bock, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. How you feeling?
Feeling all right.
Good.
A little nervous for the Friday basketball game.
Big announcement. Cam Newton has signed with the Carolina Panthers.
It's official.
It is official. Sam Darnold, who was pretty good in the first three games, just suddenly became Sam Darnold again. He remembered that his name is Sam Darnold, and he started to play like him. Then he got
Started seeing
injured.
ghosts.
So he's out for several weeks, and now they've got Cam Newton. So
that's interesting because, obviously he won an MVP there and everything, but Matt Rule wasn't there for that. So this is a new staff bringing him back.
Isn't that more of the offense, though, that Matt Rule was running at Baylor? I mean, a dual threat type of guy.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works out, but that's kind of the big news of the day. But we do talk a lot of college football, and with that, we welcome in Robin Washut of HuskerOnline.com. Hi, Robin. How are you?
What's up, guys?
Not much. We were just talking about this. Scott Frost, of course, there were several comments that stood out from talking to the media yesterday, but the one about special teams, he talked about it being a possibility that he would hire a full-time special teams coordinator. And then he added, once again, which he said before, it's not the specialists, it's not the special team so much as the specialists. Do you agree with that?
I mean, that's accurate to an extent. I mean, you saw the kicking game wasn't nearly an issue last year as it was this year because the guy they brought in to kick made the field goals, and this year he didn't. And so clearly that was a pretty dramatic shift in how you evaluate the kicking game. And then obviously the punting, they haven't really given up really big returns when the ball is punted correctly, but you're still getting those 13-yard shanks that you leave your head scratching your head, wondering how there could be that dramatic of performance one way or the other, where he's booming 60-yarders and then shanking off the side of his foot for a net 10-yard gain. So I do think there's something to be said for that, but this is also the staff that brought in all these specialists, and so they're partly or just as much to blame as anyone. So if they are going to remain status quo, you better find a way to identify your specialists through the transfer portal or recruiting front a whole lot better than you have been. Because if you're going to blame the execution on the players as why your special teams have struggled, it's your job to go get players that are going to execute.
Well, and of course, if you do have a special teams, a full-time dedicated special teams coach, you kind of have to take away from something. And that's why there was kind of the ideas maybe Scott Frost could be the quarterback coach. But as of now, he hasn't shut off that. But he's kind of saying that they're kind of focusing in on that CEO role. What part of Scott Frost's history would make you think that a CEO role is correct for him more than kind of a positional coach or kind of to focus more on the grand scheme of things rather than to help out with the quarterbacks?
I mean, I think it's just the nature of the job. I mean, you're the head coach of a Big Ten school, and you can't devote all of your attention or 90% of your attention to one side of the football. You got to take ownership of everything, and you got to make sure that all three phases are being coached and taught the right way. And maybe he's done that to an extent, but clearly your job's on the line. So you better have your fingerprints on every element of your football team. I think that's kind of what this whole conversation about being a quote unquote CEO is about. Is this is your last chance to get it right. So you better make sure that you're involved in every meeting, making sure that you know what's going on with defensive game plans, special teams preparations, as well as what the offensive script is going to look like. And so I think that I just remember many times over the last 3 years where you'd ask Scott about the opposing team's offense, and he really wouldn't have much to tell you because he's only been studying the opposing defenses and working on the offensive game plan for Nebraska. So I think that's as much as anything, just having a better sense of what's going around the entire team as opposed to just one phase of the game.
He's Robin Washington of HuskerOnline.com. One of the criticisms of Scott Frost coming from UCF was that he brought everybody. Some like that you're keeping the whole staff intact, but then there was a learning curve to the Big Ten. He obviously had a relationship with Matt Lubick when he hired him. Do you expect that offensive coordinator to be somebody like Mark Helfrich, for example, that he has a connection with, or does he go outside the people that he knows?
I wish I could say, but history suggests that there's going to be some form of a relationship there. And we talked about it this week. He mentioned trust about 5 different times in his answer about what he was going to do with that offensive coordinator spot. So it's hard to trust somebody you don't know. And so I think that's probably going to give you an indication that it's not going to be this, completely outside hire where he's never even said a word to the guy before the interview process. It's going to be somebody that he knows, that has a familiar idea of what they want the offense to be, as Scott Frost does, and so they can be on the same page and kind of hit the ground running, as opposed to trying to get to know each other on the fly while trying to get ready for a critical do or die season. So I don't think it's going to be, like I said, this totally out of left field hire. It's going to be somebody that Scott knows and believes that is going to give him the best opportunity to turn this program around in the manner that he needs to in order to keep his job.
And of course, much of the focus being, focused on next year, but there's still 2 games left. How do you kind of envision those 2 final games looking? Of course, we know they've kind of brushed in some other guys to be the full-time head coaches or interim full-time position coaches there. Do you expect this to look kind of like it has throughout the season, or do you expect the new coaches and kind of different ideas heading toward the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine any dramatic shifts. They're bringing in guys that were already on staff doing what they'd been doing all season. So I'd imagine just be kind of a continuation of the same message, the same formula, and just try to get through this year as competitively as possible. It's hard for everybody. I mean, especially the players that just lost their position coach. Now you got, a new figurehead of your group that's, running the show day to day. So how well they're able to kind of compartmentalize their emotions and stay on task with preparing for 2 of the most physical defenses in the Big Ten Conference. That's going to tell a lot about how these next 2 games go. Right now, I don't know. I mean, they're saying all the right things again, but we'll see kind of how next week goes and if that message is still believable or not. And again, we won't know anything until they actually take the field in a hostile environment against a Wisconsin team that they've never won there, and Wisconsin's starting to play some good football, and they're competing for a West title. So it's not going to be easy. And how well the team is able to continue to handle adversity, and now facing the most adversity they've had yet this season, will truly define what these next 2 games are. There's opportunity to get some positive momentum going into the offseason. If you're able to beat either one of these 2 teams, that accomplishes something you haven't done in a long time, and is able to snap some losing streaks to your direct division rivals. So there is value to be had with these next 2 games, but Nebraska better be locked in and ready to go more than they ever have if they're going to do it.
Robin Washington of HuskerOnline.com. I do want to switch to basketball, and to yesterday actually was signing day, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But Nebraska coming off a tough loss, 75-74 to Western Illinois at home. But there are, close games throughout college basketball. Rutgers barely beat Lehigh. Probably should have lost that game. And, Michigan 10 over Buffalo, which is not a bad program. But you're seeing close games throughout college basketball to even close games. Do you take that as maybe a little comfort, or this was a really bad loss to Western Illinois?
Well, as far as NCAA tournament seeding and being on the bubble is concerned, it is a really bad loss. Maybe Western Illinois surprises everybody and is a dark horse and wins the summit. But, right now they were the 311th rated team in KenPom, and Nebraska just lost at home to them. So that is a bad loss, no matter how you want to draw it up. I guess if you want to find the silver lining, there were 9 other teams in college basketball that lost their season openers in bye games on Tuesday night. Nebraska was one of those. Virginia, top 25 team, they lost at home to Navy. Ohio State, they got taken to overtime by Akron. So, it's not like Nebraska is the only high major program that struggled out of the gates. But the question is, how are they going to respond? I mean, that was a frustrating game in a lot of senses. You can point to a lot of different things, and they probably win that game, and they're able to learn from a win instead of a really devastating loss. But here they are. You're 0-1 out of the gate for the second time in 3 years, and now you got to find a way to kind of process it and regroup and get back to work against the Sam Houston State team that is going to present just as much challenge in Nebraska's biggest weaknesses that Western Illinois did. They're an extremely aggressive rebounding team. They crash the boards with 4 guys after every shot, and they play really intense on-ball defense and create a lot of turnovers and disrupt your flow offensively. So, there's they better find a way to improve in those areas quickly. Otherwise, you're going to, just like 2 years ago, have the same result of losing 2 straight bye games to start the year. So, the message kind of from the player leaderships appeared to be good. We talked to the guys today, Trey McGowan and Fred Hoiberg, after practice, and they said that, that the guys handled it as well as you probably could have expected. But, just like football, we won't know how much that message actually hammered home until they go out there and take the court, and we'll see if they play with any semblance more of want to and fight on the glass than they did on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's hard to believe there's a must-win game, second game into the season, but it already kind of feels that way. But I did want to ask you too about the fall signing period. No surprises, but Nebraska did sign 4 new guys for their class coming in next year. How's the class look?
I mean, I guess it depends on where you look. I think Rivals has them at 30th. I don't know where they are with the other services. So, they're right on the cusp of being in that top 25 conversation. We'll see how it finishes out in the spring, but they got 4 new signees, like you mentioned, and all 4 of them bring a little something different to the table. Where Jamarcus Lawrence, kid from Roselle Catholic in New Jersey, he's an elite level shooter who I think is one of the more underrated players in the 2022 class. He kind of gets overshadowed a little bit because he's playing alongside a guy named Simeon Wilshire, but Nebraska's really excited about him. Blaze Cada, he's a 6'11", number 1 junior college player in the country who just won a national championship last year, who's going to bring immediate impact with his size, defensive presence, and rebounding. So you want to talk about all the issues they had last night. Help is eventually going to be on the way in that regard. And then Ramel Lloyd, the kid from Sierra Canyon, Fred today called him as that when he shows up on campus next summer, he will be as versatile of a player as they have on their roster, with his ability to play 1 through 4 in any given moment. They really like just his skill set with his size, his strength, and then obviously his offensive prowess. So they really like him. And then Denham Dawson might be the most interesting of them because he's going to be an early enrollee. He was originally a 2021 recruit, decided to take a post-grad year at Southern California Academy, accomplished what he needed to accomplish this fall by getting the Nebraska offer and committing. And so he decided to not waste any more time and finish out the post-grad year and just enroll early at Nebraska. And he'll be here on December 27th and be able to practice every day with the team, travel with the team to road games, and kind of just get a head start on his college development that I think will be really valuable for him. So, like I said, a lot of different pieces with this group, and I'm interested to see how they finish things out after the inevitable roster attrition that happens at the end of the season, and how Nebraska continues to hit the transfer portal.
I guess that was what I was going to ask. They're not done, right? Even though they're 2 over, you expect certain guys to leave, and they're not done recruiting.
Yeah, no, I mean, like they're going to have spots to fill. Trey McGowan has said publicly this is his last year. I would expect this to be Lat Mayen's last year. We'll see what Derek Walker wants to do. And then Bryce McGowan's, like I retweeted today, was just projected to be 20th overall in the NBA draft. So odds are he probably won't be back. So they're going to have spots. to fill. It's just a matter of how many. But it's Nebraska and Matt Abdelmassi. The transfer portal is always open and always locked in, and so they will be ready for whatever comes.
How about another big that can rebound at a high level? I'll take 2 to go. Good stuff.
Yeah, they use some of that, but it's not just about size.
I get
it's about
it.
one. It's about one. Too. They got plenty of tall dudes. Wilhelm Breidenbach didn't get a single rebound. He's 6'11". So it's a mentality thing.
Well, yeah, we were just saying that. Bock said it in the post-game show. Lonzo, one of your smaller guys, had 13 rebounds. So it's not about necessarily height. It's about want to, as you just said. Good stuff, Robin. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yep, we'll see you guys.
Robin Washington of HuskerOnline.com. Let's get to break. Come back with Rico and the Blog Jog next.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
Beatrice Bakery has been serving Nebraska with one-of-a-kind Grandma's fruitcake since 1964. You already know that, but did you know they offer way more than that? You've got to try their line of liqueur cakes, like the strawberry daiquiri cake or the vanilla rum cake. Or what about their breakfast breads, the banana nut bread, or their various streusel coffee cakes? Whatever the occasion, Beatrice Bakery has something for you. Oh yeah, and Grandma's fruitcake? It's still pretty darn good. Beatrice Bakery, located in downtown Beatrice, or always online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Hey, buying a used vehicle sucks, and the biggest problem is who can you trust? Hey, this is Carl from Price Right Auto out here at West O Street in Lincoln. Here's what customers have told us they want from us. They want transparent pricing with no games. We have all of our pricing on our website, plus a Carfax report. We don't want to buy a lemon. We include a 3-month warranty on all of our vehicles. We don't want to play games. Just make it simple. We saw that with non-commissioned salespeople. Can you trust us? Just check out our Google reviews. Again, this is Carl from Price Right Auto in West O. Check us out at pricerightauto.com.
Man, we sure could use an easy win this season.
I hear you. That's why I suggested to the wife that we go to Magical Lights of Seward, the area's largest and most entertaining drive-through Christmas light show.
So, by suggesting going to Magical Lights of Seward, you got a win?
Yeah, my wife said it was the best idea I'd had in a long time. The kids loved the dazzling light show, synced with traditional and modern Christmas music, and we had an affordable, fun family experience.
Get your win, too, by pre-ordering your tickets today at magicallightsofseward.com/ticket.
The team that blew out the Cowboys.
And that's what we gotta do.
That's the one we want to see again.
Denver with another touchdown.
Sunday, the Broncos return home as the Eagles fly into town. Join Dave Logan, Rick Lewis, and Susie Warchin.
Let's go!
On the KOA Broncos Radio Network.
The Eagles and the Broncos kick off at 3:25. Pregame starts at 1 p.m. right here on your home for the Denver Broncos in Lincoln, Nebraska. 93.7 The Ticket.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Increasing cloud cover this afternoon and increasing winds as northwest winds could gust 30 to 35 miles per hour with an afternoon high of around 53. We'll see increasing cloud cover again tonight with a low down to 33. Windy and cold tomorrow. Northwest winds gusting over 40 miles per hour and a high of only 37. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Tired of interrupted printing or money-wasting long-term copier contract? Join Cartridge World's no-cost printer program. You get a free brand printer, free service maintenance and repair, free delivery. All this for just buying our high-quality, affordable printer cartridges. Simple agreements and local friendly service, as it has been for more than 25 years. Cartridge World. Contact us today.
Lay the groundwork for more harvesting capacity when you order new John Deere combines and headers during Landmark Implement's early order program. Whether you're looking to improve your existing combine, corn head, or flex draper, or you've been wanting to update to a new model year, now is the time to upgrade. Get the very latest harvesting equipment and technology that fit your operations needs. Get your new John Deere harvest equipment built just the way you want. Contact your local Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
Time to replace your heating and air system? Get local utility rebates and big cash discounts from Bryant. Call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. We do whatever it takes.
Happer and Shaper.
What do you view as the easiest of the two? Frost stepping back and giving more power to the people that he's going to hire? Or is it Frost completely changing who he is? I don't see that as likely. I think if Frost's fingerprints stay on this, as they have been, you're going to get the same freaking results. So what you've done here is you've fired your whole offensive staff and you've presented yourself with an opportunity to change.
Weekday mornings from 8 to 11 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Grab yourself a hot dog, pour a glass of eggnog, and settle in. This is The Blog Jog on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Time brought to you by Beatrice Bakery, home of Grandma's Fruitcake since 1964. They have full menu items, including the artesian cakes. They have liqueur cakes, breakfast breads, and coffee cakes. Perfect for holiday gatherings, birthdays, or any of life's everyday occasions. In fact, we need you to nominate somebody who's a veteran today that deserves cake from Beatrice Bakery. But we'll talk more about that. You could do it on the text line if you want to, 464-5685, or even call us on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Rico is here. Hi, Rico.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Good. Our Celtics won last night. Your Knicks lost.
Thank you.
Are you worried?
Reminding me. I'm not worried. Knicks are 7-5.
They were down.
At this point last year, they were 5-7, and they made the playoffs as a 4 seed. So it's fine.
They're actually good. And they were down big in that game.
They were down 24. And then the starters got pulled because they were garbage. Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. Julius Randle was okay, but then he started forcing things and was bad. RJ Barrett wasn't on, and Mitchell Robinson was playing suffocating defense on Mitchell Robinson, held him to single-digit points in the first half, I believe, and then had to get the bench in for scoring because they couldn't figure it out. So then Derrick Rose led the way.
And there's your daily Knicks update with Rico. It's blog jog time. What do you got?
Quickly, Obi Toppin. It was great. It was great for the bench, and then they got tired and they didn't want to put the starters back.
I think they're fine. Tibbs
is very upset with them.
But you're going to find out what we found out about Kemba. Sometimes he's good. Sometimes he's not good.
He was playing good defense. He's just small, and he keeps trying to force threes instead of getting into the lane.
Yeah.
He's not initiating the offense. They're leaving that up to Julius Randle, which let your point guard be a point guard.
What's on the blog, Yog?
Some stuff and some things. This one comes from ABC 30 in California. A Fresno man finds out he was declared dead by the Los Angeles County coroner when he went to renew his license.
Oh, that's quite something to find out.
Wow.
Is there any tax benefits to that?
How does that happen?
No, I think it's actually very problematic. This has happened multiple times. Not to him, but to people. This woman spent years trying to convince the state that she was alive. So she was missing out on, they were like threatening to take her house away and all these things because she wasn't paying for it because she was dead. Well, she was trying to pay for it, but they were like, no, you're dead. You can't pay for this. So it was a whole hullabaloo.
I wonder if that means that they pick somebody as being dead. That means the other guy with that same name is still alive and he's actually dead. Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like if you get maybe that happens because guys share the same name.
Oh, yeah. Was his name a common name?
You say somebody who's dead, who's
Hunter McKay.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of Hunter McKays.
Well, apparently he's been dead since last October, but he says he's registered 2 vehicles and he got a temporary license, but he can't get his actual license because they're like, nah, bro, you dead.
How'd he die?
It doesn't say.
Have you ever thought about faking your own death?
No,
me either.
Going to your own funeral? That'd be kind of cool.
I've thought about that. Is that weird to think about? I've thought about who would show up to my funeral? Like if I died and I just was sneaking around my funeral, would there be a lot of people? I loved?
We'd all be there.
I'd rather be not just show up to my funeral. I'd rather be in the casket and rise. That's scary.
I am alive.
Yeah.
You're infatuated with death.
Yes.
Maybe that's why Halloween is your favorite.
Yeah, that's probably
weird
holiday. He's definitely out there. I like it.
Weird guy.
What else?
This one comes from WLNS.com. Arby's, everybody's favorite roast beef establishment, is launching 80 proof fry flavored vodka.
I saw that. So you
Would
can
you drink Curly Fry vodka?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Get it?
Would you?
Yeah. I mean, I love their roast beef sandwiches, and I was just telling Heidi the other night when we drove by, we haven't been to Arby's for a while. Why is that?
Yeah, you need to go back to Arby's.
You should.
Because they do have the 2 for $6. They used to have the 5 for $5.
Oh, yeah, that's why, yeah.
When they had the 5 for $5, I was there all the time.
My wife, Rachel, loves the Jamocha shakes. They are delicious.
Oh, yeah, those are
I'm
popular.
big. I'm a proponent that Arby's has very top-notch, top 5 chicken tenders. Tell you what.
So give me the chicken tenders and some vodka.
I'll take the vodka. Yeah, actually, not that.
It's
vodka.
80 proof. So you want to know how it's flavored?
Yeah.
The Curly Fry vodka is distilled with cayenne, paprika, onion, and garlic. And they're doing the crinkle cut, their new crinkle cut fries. The vodka has real kosher salt and sugar to honor the rich tradition of salted potato shapes.
Nobody knows about the crinkle cut fries. Why are they even
So the
doing
vodka is all cooked out of it. You can't get drunk on the fries.
Well, not the fries.
The fries
no,
are
but the
cooked out
vodka.
of it.
Yeah,
They really do. I mean, what's going to happen because
it's 80 proof.
You drive through and it's always a 16-year-old serving you. How can they?
Yeah, that's true.
How can they be giving you vodka?
I don't think. Yeah, I think you have to order it. It's very limited. Like
You can't. It's not like drive-through vodka.
Oh, no, there's no
it's not.
drive-through vodka.
It is not drive-through vodka.
Well, I don't want it. I mean, if I actually had to go in and get it.
You have to order it. I don't think they sell it at the stores either.
Yeah.
I worked at Arby's for several years actually, and it made me hate the curly fries because I had to deal with them on a daily basis.
Wait a minute, you can't get it at the actual Arby's. You can't get it
I
at
don't
the
think
store.
so.
That's
Tom.
just crazy.
So,
I'm
Tom.
mad.
You can't
now.
just go down the street and get vodka at this Arby's down here.
Well, there are fast food joints that now serve it, like Qdoba. Qdoba
Does
or
Qdoba?
Chipotle.
I don't
Either
think Qdoba sells
maybe it's
alcohol.
Chipotle where you can get beer.
Is it like a shot or a beer?
Yeah.
a beer. Huh.
There are places all the time that.
I don't believe it. But you need to get your liquor license. Like, it's a whole thing.
Oh, I get it. I mean, getting a liquor license, they don't just give it to us.
Yeah.
We should get a liquor
We
license.
should start a bar here.
Should we?
I think so.
I think there are radio stations.
Where would we put a bar?
Wasn't it
Hallway?
Sweet? You would know this growing up in Omaha, like Sweet 98 or Sweet down in the Haymarket. They were like down in the old market in Omaha. They
It was like a bar /
yeah,
radio
it was,
station.
It was like you could come by and see. They were like entertaining
yeah.
monkeys.
I
and you
like
could
that
come by
idea.
and-
I think we should do that.
I think that'd be if you could get a liquor license. DP, get a liquor license.
Yeah.
Do that?
Yeah, I think so.
DP's run a bar before.
I mean,
Yeah, see, we already have experience.
we have Kevin Meyer here every Thursday,
That's
and
right.
he'll be here
He can
today.
He can supply the alcohol. But DP, again, DP is the only one that has run a bar. Nobody else here has. I don't think anybody here knows how to make drinks. If we do a full bar, or if we
Yeah,
just
we do
beer.
need to hire a bartender.
Like, that's a whole thing.
See, I really thought you could get vodka at Arby's. That's a kind of the way.
We used to, if Michael Snow wants to come back, he works at a bar. Used to
Oh,
work
that's
at a
right,
bar.
yeah.
He's getting married.
He is.
Yeah, congratulations
Snow.
to Mr. Snow.
Yeah, congratulations. Nice job, Mike.
Didn't see that one coming.
That's right. I really didn't. Not for another 50 years with that guy. Thanks, Rico. Appreciate it.
no
Box
problem.
tops today. What's the category?
Well, we're comparing this year's defense to the defenses of the past. We're going back to when everything changed, 2002, 2001 and beyond. Before was a different era in Nebraska football. So since then, how does Nebraska's defense compare to those teams? I've thought about it, and now with a few games left in the season, I've compared the stats. So we'll do that.
All right, we'll do that and much more. Box tops on the way on Tom and Bock.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
Time to replace your heating and air system? Get local utility rebates and big cash discounts from Bryant. Call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. We do whatever it takes.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL Weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Increasing cloud cover this afternoon and increasing winds as northwest winds could gust 30 to 35 miles per hour with an afternoon high of around 53. We'll see increasing cloud cover again tonight with a low down to 33. Windy and cold tomorrow. Northwest winds gusting over 40 miles per hour and a high of only 37. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Lay the groundwork for more harvesting capacity when you order new John Deere combines and headers during Landmark Implement's early order program. Whether you're looking to improve your existing combine, corn head, or flex draper, or you've been wanting to update to a new model year, now is the time to upgrade. Get the very latest harvesting equipment and technology that fit your operations needs. Get your new John Deere harvest equipment built just the way you want. Contact your local Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. Football quarterfinals are in the books. In Class B, Waverly's season came to an end against Bennington, losing in a shutout 41-0. In Class C1, Lincoln Lutheran fell out of the playoffs, losing to Ord 42-7. In 6-man, Parkview Christian lost in their quarterfinals debut to Potter Dix 70-34. In recruiting, former Lincoln East quarterback Noah Walters has been offered a walk-on spot for the Cornhuskers. The volleyball playoffs have come to an end at the Bob Devaney Center. In Class B, Waverly lost to Omaha Skutt on Wednesday. North beat Elkhorn North on Friday in a 5-set thriller, but lost to Omaha Skutt on Saturday in 4 sets. In Class C1, Lincoln Lutheran beat Grand Island CC in a sweep, advancing them to the championship. There, they would play Kearney Catholic and win in 4 sets, anointing them this year's Class C1 state volleyball champions. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
The worst of times can bring out the best in each of us. Doctors, nurses, and frontline workers have labored selflessly to keep us safe during the health crisis of our lifetime. How do we thank these heroes? It's simple. Get your COVID vaccine so we can end this pandemic. Variants are on the rise, and we don't want to put these heroes through another health crisis. They have given their all. Now it's up to you. Please do your part. For you, for them, for us.
This message sponsored by the Helmsley Charitable Trust, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
The workday is long, the bills are due, and sometimes you just need to relax. There's no better way to do that than in your brand new hot spring spa from Bonsall Pool and Spa. With hot tubs as low as $75 per month and interest-free financing, you're sure to find the perfect spa to fit your lifestyle. So get over to Bonsall Pool and Spa today and check out their selection of hot spring spas. Bonsall Pool and Spa, 33rd and Highway 2. Every day made better.
Lincoln's Mega Liquidation Store is here. Wholesale Logistics opens Friday on West O Street as a bin store with tons of liquidation pallets, appliances, mattresses, furniture, laundry detergent, and more. Brand new mattresses, 30 to 60% off retail with well-known brands. New furniture, also 30 to 60% off retail value. Brand new LG Scratch and Dent appliances, 35 to 40% off retail. Wholesale Logistics purchases truckloads of smaller items from major retailers and throws them into bins, with everything starting at just $8. Get to Wholesale Logistics, opening Friday at 2811 West O Street.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Coppell Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
You know, we failed, but I thought it was a great effort. I thought that the plan was laid out perfectly.
Jake Bockoven.
I'm not sure I get my point across properly. I'm sure I don't do a good job of explaining what I mean.
Tom and Bock starts now.
Welcome in hour number 2 of Tom and Bock. Tom Stevens, Jake Bockoven. How's it going so far, Jake?
I think it's going pretty good.
Okay, that's good. We do something on our show once a week. And today being Veterans Day, I wanted to honor a veteran. I actually want you to honor your favorite veteran. And you can either dial us up at 464-5685 or just enter them via the text line, the Starter Heyman text line, and we'll give away a cake to our favorite veteran at the end of the show. We want to make a veteran smile today. It's Veterans Day, and we're going to do it from Beatrice Bakery, home of Grandma's Fruitcake since 1964. They've got a full menu that includes artesian cakes, liqueur cakes, breakfast breads. They've got coffee cakes. It's perfect for the holidays, birthdays, or any of life's everyday occasions. Beatrice Bakery, you can go to beatrice.com. It is good stuff. I had the lemon drop cake last time. My mom used to make this lemon cake with lemonade, and she would poke holes in it and then pour the lemonade in there, and then it was magical. This is better than hers.
Hey,
this is better.
You can't say that.
It's not. This is better. Beatrice Bakery, way better than Mom's. And I like Mom's, but this is way better.
It is really good.
It's really, really good cake. But they have all sorts of cakes and fruit cakes and holiday cakes. And we want you to nominate somebody on the text line. And then we'll award the winner before we leave. We'll just contact you and let you know that you have won. So that's how we do it. Box tops, are you ready to go?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, you look ready. Here it is.
All right, today's top box tops is the top defenses since 2002, the top black shirt defenses at Nebraska since 2002. Of course, that's usually where I go back to if I start to rank modern-day Husker teams, because 2001 and before it is a different era. So 2002 and since has been the mediocre Nebraska football program, up and down here and there. And of course, but a good defense this year. I've been wondering kind of how their stats compare to past black shirt teams. So kind of did the rankings here. So I rank these teams based off their points per game. Of course, there's all different types of ways to do it. And I'll mention some of those stats in there as well. But yeah, let's get underway here. First, I did want to tell you some of the worst black shirt defenses since then.
That's fun.
As far as points per game goes, 2007 was actually the worst. Of course, that was the year that Bill Callahan and Kevin Cosgrove couldn't get things going. They gave up an average of 37.9 points per game that year. That was good for 111. 477 yards total per game. That's 113th. So they really struggled that.
You almost have to try to be that bad.
Yeah,
it
really
felt
do.
like they were trying to be that bad at that time. But they knew it was over, right? They kind of knew that.
Especially toward the end when Joe Gans started throwing for 450 a game himself. They kind of seemed to give up on defense. The next worst defense for Nebraska, another year, transition year, where it was obvious and the writing was on the wall for the Nebraska head coach. It was Mike Riley at this time. 2017, they gave up 36.4 points per game. That was 116th in the nation. 436 total yards per game. That was 101st. Anytime you're in the hundreds, maybe it seems like you should consider it.
And not all of those defenses were terrible, but I didn't realize they were that terrible.
Yeah, they were.
They were really bad.
Another big weakness I would like to point out, 2004 really struggled. This was the year after Bo Pelini left, obviously. They gave up 28.1 points per game. That one's not so bad, but they gave up 272 passing yards a game. That was 111. Right. So, you have some of those bad years. Right. Anyways, let's go to the top. Throw out the bad black shirt defenses. Let's go to the top black shirt defense over the last 10 years. We'll start with number 10, 2013. John Papuchis had that defense at 25.2 points per game. They, of course, if you remember 2013, had a few ugly games there. Gave up 41 to UCLA, 41 to Michigan State, 38 to Iowa, and 34 to Minnesota. However, they had some good performances as well. Only gave up 13 to Michigan in a win, 20 to Penn State in a win, and 19 to Georgia in that bowl win as well. 2013, if you remember, that defense led by Randy Gregory, Avery Moss, Stanley Jean-Baptiste, Deontay Evans, all those guys.
Yeah, those were good defenses, and they were always pretty good against the pass, Bo Pelini defenses.
Yeah, they were. That was always something that they could do. 2011 is the next best defense as far as points per game goes. 9th overall here. 24.8 points per game. Of course, Carl Pelini led that group. This was the first year in the Big Ten. They had some ugly performances. 45 against Michigan, 48 in the loss to Wisconsin. They actually beat Washington, giving up 38, but they had some really good performances. They gave up 3 to Kirk Cousins and Michigan State, 14 to Penn State in a win, and 7 to Iowa in a win.
Yeah, I remember that Michigan State win. That was dominating.
Oh, yeah.
These are not bad defenses. It's amazing how bad it got from 2009 to 2011. How many more points they gave up, though, from just a couple-year time span.
Yeah, it did progressively get worse, but still, 2011 was still good there. Yeah. I like that year. They went into that year with an All-American type at every level with Jared Crick, Levante David, and Alfonso Dinner. Yeah. But of course, Crick got hurt early on in that season, so that didn't help. Yeah. Number 8 on the list. How about 2002's defense? They were coached by Craig Bull as the defensive coordinator. Gave up 23.9 points per game. That was 45th in the nation. Out of 6 of their 7 wins, Nebraska allowed less than 16 points. However, that was a Jekyll and Hyde team. 6 out of 7 of their losses, they gave up more than 27 points.
Yeah, and that ended in Bull's firing, right?
Yeah.
That year.
Yeah, it did.
Yep.
Dwan Gross, Fabian Washington made a pretty good backfield there. I think Josh Bullocks was there. Chris Kelsey, Rude DeMario Williams, and Scott Shanley. That's pretty good personnel, at least.
Yep.
Number 7 on the list, 2016. That was Mark Banker's defense. Gave up 23 17.9 points per game. That was good for 33rd in the nation. Less than 17 in 7 games, but of course, when it was ugly, it was bad. 62 points given up to Ohio State in the 62-3 loss, and 40 points given up to Iowa on Black Friday.
Banker was not a bad defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
and
not
where
awful.
He went to Hawaii. Where is he now?
I don't know
think
if he's
we
still
should find
doing
out.
much.
Maybe we should have put that on your list of guys that we should go after. Mark Banker.
Yeah, let's bring Mark Banker back.
There's
To be
no
fair,
room for him for anything. But
when I look at the personnel everybody else had compared to him, he kind of had that defense with Nate Gary and Bando and Joshua Kalu. Good players, but didn't kind of stack up to like the rest of the defense.
it was an aggressive quarters defense. I liked the style of play. It was aggressive. Didn't always work.
Number 6 on the list is the 2005 defense. And there's a couple of them on here from Kevin Cosgrove.
Nice.
His defense, 2005, only gave up 22.3 points per game, only gave up more than 16 points or actually only gave up 16 points total in their first 3 games. But their losses, they were bad. Gave up 41, 34, 31, and 40 in those losses. So, again, a bit of a Jekyll Hyde performance there.
Yeah, and they had 2 really good defensive ends with Jay Moore on one side and Carricker on the other side.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good
Those
defense,
guys
too.
were pretty good.
And then this is where we get to number 5. This is where Nebraska currently is. Eric Shenander's defense is the 5th best as far as points given up per game since 2002 at 20.9 points per game, 29th in the nation right now. Of course, all of this doesn't factor in the fact that this year's team has to play the number 1 schedule in the nation, so that doesn't help. But I wonder if they can improve upon that against some pretty mediocre to bad offenses in Wisconsin and Iowa these past
I rewatched the Ohio State game last night with that in mind. Like, could they be as good or better? And I came away thinking they can. Mostly because that defensive line, everybody, maybe Stilley won't come back, but most of those guys are coming. Stilley can't come back. But everybody else, I mean, Damian Daniels, who wonder about. Ty Robinson's a really good player. They've got good players. And it's not just the guys that potentially could leave. Obviously, losing JoJo is going to be a big deal. I think they can be good. I mean, and you're not talking about, as you mentioned, the number 1 schedule in the country next year.
Yeah. I think they're going to be really good up the middle, specifically with Reimer and Hendricks coming back. Like you mentioned, those guys, DeAndre Thomas, Casey Rogers to get healthy. That defensive line and inside linebacker core is going to be pretty good. And the outside linebackers, for the most part, come back as well. Just that secondary is going to need some retooling.
Yeah, it's the super seniors that you're losing. You mentioned Stilley, Deontay Williams. You worried about those type of guys.
Yeah.
Cam Taylor-Britt's probably moving on.
Yeah,
that
Doman.
type of thing. Yeah.
All right, number 4 on the list, being bested, Eric Shenander, is right now by Kevin Cosgrove's 2006 defense. Kevin Cosgrove maybe deserves some more respect around here. 19.2 points per game given up that year. That was good for top 25, 24th in the nation. They held 5 opponents under 14 points. They did give up 41, 28, 22. They only gave up 41. That was their worst performance in a loss. They gave up 28, 22, 21, and 17 in their other losses. So sometimes the narrative is that Callahan had offense rolling and the defense was just bad. The defense was god-awful in 2007, but it wasn't too bad. 2006 was pretty good, actually.
And they should have won that bowl game. What was it, the Cotton Bowl against Auburn?
Oh, yeah.
They should have won that game. They kind of blew that game.
And they had that stacked linebacker core. Remember Stuart Bradley, Corey McEwen, Bo Root, and Lance Brandenburg coming off the bench?
Yeah, that was not a terrible team. The most of the guys actually liked Cosgrove okay.
Yeah.
He did get dumped on a lot. And you look at the stats, and they're not really that terrible.
No, they weren't. But they were they weren't bad in 2005 and 2006. They were really bad in 2004 and 2007. So 50% of the time doesn't work, Kevin Cosgrove. Sorry. Moving up the list, this is where the defense is, I would say, the 3 elite defenses for Nebraska over the last 20 years or whatever it is. 2010's defense, of course, coached by Carl Pelini, 18.5 points per game given up. That was good for 10th in the nation. They were 11th in the nation in total defense with 314 yards per game, 4th in the nation, giving up only 158 yards passing per game. And their losses that year, Nebraska gave up 23, 19, 20, and 9. That's tough to lose those type of games.
9-6.
Yeah, 9-6.
They lost to 9-6, and wasn't that the game against Iowa State where they fumbled 9 times?
That was the game against Texas A&M.
Okay.
Against Ryan Tannehill, future NFL quarterback, and It was all field goal game. Taylor Martinez called his dad on the sideline.
The 9-point game was the loss to Iowa State. What was
the Iowa State
Texas
loss
Tech.
in 2010? I believe they gave up 30. That was like an overtime.
Okay,
game.
I'm thinking of 2009.
Yeah, 2009.
2009 they lost to Iowa State.
Yep.
That's right, not 2010.
Yeah,
you're right.
But 2010, I think, because of how good 2009 was, kind of gets overshadowed. But I mean, that still was the same cast of characters, basically, minus Sue and I guess Barry Turner. But yeah, I mean, so that defense was great. 2003, Bo's defense is number 2 on the list. His 1 year being the defensive coordinator here, only gave up 14.5 points per game. 9th in the nation, giving up 297 yards total defense, and 10th in the nation, giving up 178 yards passing. They held 9 opponents under 14 points, including shutouts versus Iowa State and Troy. And of course, that has my favorite. I mentioned a good linebacker group earlier, but the best linebacker group in quite some time at Nebraska was Barrett Ruud, Demario Williams, and T.J. Hollowell. Of course, Barrett Ruud and Demario Williams had like more than 100 or so tackles. T.J. Hollowell had 80 there as well, and they were backed up in the defensive backfield by Fabian Washington, Josh and Daniel Bullocks, and Pat Ricketts. So they were pretty good back seven there.
And they got fired for it.
And they got fired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because Frank didn't work. That's why I think that this move right now has some nuance to it. It's not just, hey, the head coach isn't working, let's get rid of everybody. They fired Bo Pelini and Tim Albin, 2 future college coaches. As part of those firings, just getting rid of the assistants because Frank didn't work.
Yeah, and I actually agreed with it at the end of the year. I was wrong.
Yeah,
I was wrong. I mean, should have kept Frank, especially if you're going to hire Callahan.
Yeah, Nebraska's never been 10 3 or better. So that was it's been a rough history lesson for us. But the number 1 defense, of course, 2009. Everybody who watched that 2009 defense would know. Number 1 in the nation, only giving up 10.4 points per game, 272 yards total per game. That was 7th in the nation. 9th in rush defense, only giving up 93 yards on the ground, and 17th in pass defense as well, only giving up about 180 yards there. They gave up 31 points. That was their worst performance, but gave up 16, 13, and 9 in some of the other losses. Held 9 of their opponents under 13 points or fewer.
So if you were to pair that 2009 defense, one of the best ever, with any offense of all these years, what year would you pick?
I don't have the offensive numbers in front of me. I'd have to think.
10 or 11. Maybe.
Yeah,
10,
probably
10 or 11, probably something along those lines.
Yeah, when you probably had Rex and Amir and Kenny Bell and Quincy and Taylor Martinez.
Might have won. I mean, even that team had. That team was Zach Lee was the starting quarterback.
Yeah, 2009.
It was just if they would have had any semblance of offense.
Thank God they had Alex Henry.
Yeah, thank goodness. And a really, really good defense. That defense, 10.4 points a game.
Are you one of those that believe 2010, if they would have had the 2010 offense in 2009, they won a national title? People
I don't know if I would, but I'd say 10 or 11, probably 10. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. Taylor was hot and cold.
They would have made a 14 playoff.
They might have.
They probably would have made a 14 playoff.
I could see that.
They may not have won it, but I think that team would have been so much fun to watch. We mentioned Nebraska basketball. They signed their class yesterday, and it's ranked 30th and 34th, depending on who you listen to. 30th by Rivals, 34th by 24/7. The headliner is Blaze Keita, who's 6'11", 4-star from Coffeyville Community College, averaged 10 and 7. Expected to be really a high-profile guy even this year. You know, they won the national title, did Coffeyville in JUCO ball last year. But he had a Baylor offer. He had many high-profile offers, considered maybe the best player in junior college basketball. And he may not be the best guy in this class. That might go to Romel Lloyd, who's a 6'6" point guard. Rock Lloyd is a good friend of DP's. They've known each other forever. DP coached him in the G League back in the day.
DP helped get Romel Lloyd to campus.
That's right. And I think helped get Romel Lloyd his signature to Nebraska. He's actually like one of the top 5 highest rated players in Nebraska basketball recruiting history. 4-star according to 24/7 and a 3-star according to Rivals. He plays with LeBron's son at Sierra Canyon.
Bronny.
And he averages 17 and 7 a game. Then they also got Jamarcus Lawrence, who is ranked a 3-star, considered kind of a steal because he plays with Simeon Wiltshire And it's not easy to get noticed on a team with Simeon Wiltshire, the 5-star, who is currently committed to North Carolina. Nebraska maybe gets him to change his mind at some point, but a very good shooter. In fact, I've seen it printed that he's an elite shooter. So we'll see. Nebraska's not done. If you were listening to Robin Washut, Nebraska's not done recruiting. That's kind of the way in which they live and the way you should live, quite honestly, in recruiting, because you never know when a guy's going to leave. And I think Trey McGowan's is potentially that guy. Bryce McGowan's could be a lottery pick. You're wondering if I think Derek's done, or could he stick around? I think potentially
he's done.
With COVID, I never know what the
It's
rules
kinda
are because
confusing.
you get extra years. But it looks like there are a number of guys that will have a decision to make, and some of it might be related to playing time. Like, I'm not playing, and I might move on. I mean, that happens in college basketball with the transfer portal at an all-time high. But I think it's a good class, and I think it has a chance to get better. And he filled some needs. I think the point guard position was the number one need for me, or maybe not even point guard. This is a legitimate big man in Blaze Keita.
Yeah, Blaze Keita is going to be fun when he
he's
gets
6'11",
campus.
240. But then I would put Nebraska needs a point guard that's really a point guard. And I think that Alonzo Verge is a really good player. I don't know if he's yet learned to play at the point guard position fully. We'll see as he goes. I think he's a really good player.
He's got the skills for it.
He's a really good player.
Yeah.
He's a really, really good player. So that's Nebraska's signing class.
Yeah.
What are your overall takes?
Yeah, like you said, I think
Yeah.
it looks pretty good. It's kind of versatile. And you know, I try not to get too excited for these guys because it's hard to tell unless there's like a Bryce McGowan's, right? But these it's hard to tell, you know, when they're going to get in the program and how much playing time they're going to get. That's what's going to be interesting moving forward. Like you said, there's going to be turnover on this roster. Where does it come from? And, you know, why is it happening? Is it going to be a lot of these guys, like you were saying, maybe a lot man just wants to move on, go play overseas or something like that? Or is it going to be some of the younger guys not getting playing time or for whatever reason? We've seen it before. Like Jariah Horns transferred like 4 different times. And, you know, he was kind of on the freshman path to eventually get a big role. Thomas Allen was given a starting job. So it's not even always playing time. It can just be a feeling.
Once again, we'd love for you to nominate your favorite veteran today on the Sutter Heyman text line, Honda of Lincoln hotline. You could do either at 464-5685, and we'll honor that veteran with a cake from Beatrice Bakery, the home of Grandma's Fruitcake since 1964. Full menu of artesian cakes, liqueur cakes, breakfast breads, and coffee cakes. You can hit it at BeatriceBakery.com. But we'd love to get your nominee, and we'll deliver it. I'll deliver it on the way home. Just tell me where to deliver it to your favorite veteran, and then I'll do that. 464-5685, Sutter Heyman text line. We're going to come back with our Big Ten Blitz. We're going to rank all the teams, look at the weekend games, that type of thing. Bock will tell me the rankings are terrible, and we'll do that coming up next.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop, but you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Want a free pair of Nebraska football tickets? Head to theticketfm.com's contest tab and register for a free pair of tickets each week of a home game, courtesy of Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of Woods Brothers and 93.7 The Ticket. 93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Increasing cloud cover this afternoon and increasing winds as northwest winds could gust 30 to 35 miles per hour with an afternoon high of around 53. We'll see increasing cloud cover again tonight with a low down to 33. Windy and cold tomorrow. Northwest winds gusting over 40 miles per hour and a high of only 37. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The weather has changed, and now it's time to adjust your footwear to change along with it. Stop into Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q to get ready for cooler temperatures and fashion trends. They're stocked with Hey Dudes, Brooks, New Balance, Danner boots, Keen or Merrill hiking boots, and plenty of other options. Plus, they have Nordic beach jackets and Bindle tumblers to take to the gym with your new athletic shoes. So get to Brown's Shoe Fit today at 66th and Q.
The workday is long, the bills are due, and sometimes you just need to relax. There's no better way to do that than in your brand new hot spring spa from Bonzal Pool and Spa. With hot tubs as low as $75 per month and interest-free financing, you're sure to find the perfect spa to fit your lifestyle. So get over to Bonzal Pool and Spa today and check out their selection of hot spring spas. Bonzal Pool and Spa, 33rd and Highway 2. Every day made better.
The worst of times can bring out the best in each of us. Doctors, nurses, and frontline workers have labored selflessly to keep us safe during the health crisis of our lifetime. How do we thank these heroes? It's simple. Get your COVID vaccine so we can end this pandemic. Variants are on the rise, and we don't want to put these heroes through another health crisis. They have given their all. Now it's up to you. Please do your part. For you, for them, for us.
This message sponsored by the Helmsley Charitable Trust, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Tired of interrupted printing or money-wasting long-term copier contract? Join Cartridge World's no-cost printer program. You get a free brand printer, free service maintenance and repair, free delivery. All this for just buying our high-quality, affordable printer cartridges. Simple agreements and local-friendly service, as it has been for more than 25 years. Cartridge World. Contact us today.
Venue at Home is your answer for locally made, freshly prepared meals delivered to your door every week. Our meals come ready to heat and eat. With sizes for 2 people or 4, Venue at Home is perfect for busy people who want a quick, easy, and delicious meal option to share with your roommates or feed the whole family. Add on from our wide selection of appetizers, sides, desserts, alcohol, and more. Receive a discount on your meals by subscribing to get Venue at Home delivered every week. Visit venueathome.net to order today. That's venueathome.net.
The team that blew out the Cowboys.
That's what we gotta do.
That's the one we want to see again.
Denver with another touchdown.
Sunday, the Broncos return home as the Eagles fly into town. Join Dave Logan, Rick Lewis, and Susie Warchin.
Let's go!
On the KOA Broncos Radio Network.
The Eagles and the Broncos kick off at 3:25. Pregame starts at 1 p.m. right here on your home for the Denver Broncos in Lincoln, Nebraska. 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. It is Tom and Bock. Tom Stevens here. Jake Bachhoven there. Some good games in the Big Ten and some really bad games in the Big Ten this weekend. But it's time to do the Big Ten Blitz.
The Big Ten Blitz. The Big Ten Blitz. The Big Ten Blitz. The Big Ten Blitz.
All right, we'll just go down the line. Let's start with some of the bad games. Rutgers at Indiana. We can see a line on this one. 11 a.m. on BTN. Rutgers coming off that 52-3 loss to Wisconsin. Indiana, a 29-7 loss to Michigan. 2 really bad teams, but Rutgers still has a chance for a bowl game. They should win.
Yeah, and Indiana's looking for their first conference victory. Rutgers, of course, just 1 conference victory so far. It's really bad. Those are 2 of the worst records in the East, obviously. The only other one competing with it in the West would be the Northwestern Wildcats at 1-5, and of course, your Nebraska Cornhuskers at 1-6. So I kind of hope Indiana keeps losing so that Nebraska will have the worst record in the Big Ten.
That'd be awesome. Northwestern is 3-6. They travel to Madison to take on number 18 Wisconsin. Wisconsin, a 24.5-point favorite at 6-3, and probably the best team in the West.
Yeah, and Northwestern's offense has been bad all year long, and going up against maybe outside of Georgia, the best defense in the nation. That's going to get ugly, I think. What was it, 52-3 last week with Wisconsin and Rutgers? I'd expect a similar score. Although I was surprised to see Wisconsin's offense get going like that.
They threw for a lot. They ran for a lot. They were just good. They're the number one defense, overall total defense in the country.
Yeah.
That's a good football team right now. And earlier in the season, we said it was a bad one. 11 a.m. on ESPN2 for that game. Northwestern coming off a 17-12 loss to Iowa. Wisconsin, as you mentioned, has won 5 in a row and has just beat up on Rutgers last week, 52-3. Purdue is at Ohio State this weekend. The Spoilermakers are 6-3 versus Ohio State at 8-1, number 4 in the country now in the college football playoff. 2:30 game on ABC.
And the Boilermakers are now ranked as well. They should be. Their only 2 of their losses are against Notre Dame and Wisconsin. Those are actually pretty good losses now. Of course, the Minnesota one doesn't look as good after Minnesota's loss last week, but those victories against Iowa and Michigan State have kind of woken up the Purdue crowd. I don't necessarily expect them to get another one against Ohio State, but I do expect the competitive games, and it's one of the games I'm going to keep my eye on, closer than any. I mean, I think that one's fascinating.
Ohio State beat Nebraska 26-17, of course, and they're 4th in the college football playoff poll. Purdue, coming off a big 49-29 or 40-29 win over Michigan State, is now ranked. They're 19th in the country. Got Minnesota at Iowa. Minnesota 6-3. Iowa is 7-2 and number 20 in the country. Iowa's actually a 5.5-point favorite here. 2:30 game on BTN. It's a game you want to go to.
Yeah,
Are you gonna go
I
to
might
it?
travel to Iowa
Okay.
City. I haven't quite decided yet. I've got a babysitter in place in case I do. I haven't decided if I'm going yet, because the score might be 6-3, which I do like those games, but it's just a lot to drive out there for that. The Floyd of Rosedale, my favorite trophies on the line. But these teams have fallen from grace. They were at one time looking to be the 2 best teams in the Big Ten West, and now their offenses are struggling mightily. So I don't know. Minnesota just coming off 6 points against Illinois last week. That's pretty bad. But we all know Iowa's offensive struggles can be just as bad. So I do expect a low-scoring game, and I might be out there. I'll send you some pictures if I go.
We were supposed to have Steve Sipple at this point. Should we take his call now, or should we try to move it to 1:30? If we can, I would love to move it to 1:30 with Steve Sipple. Could you text him and let us know if he can do it at 1:30? Moving on. So we've got Minnesota and Iowa. Minnesota, of course, coming off that loss to Illinois, 14-6. Iowa, 17-12. Victors over Northwestern. PJ Fleck gets the big extension and promptly loses a game. So nice job, PJ Fleck. I still believe in them. They're one of the teams in the West at 4-2, along with Iowa and Wisconsin and Purdue. Which team is going to come out of that?
I think
it
seems like Wisconsin, Purdue. Wisconsin and Purdue have all the momentum right now, and this thing could change. It has changed throughout the course of the season, but Wisconsin with that win over Purdue, you got to think that they're favored there. And of course, they have Nebraska. Who's Wisconsin's final game? Because you expect them to beat Northwestern. Their final game's at Minnesota. So, I mean, I would think if they went out, they should be good.
That's going to be fun. I mean, you got 4 teams at 4-2, vying to win the Big Ten championship. I don't even know. My brain hurts just thinking about the math they would have to do to figure it out.
All the tiebreakers.
Yeah, that's right.
Sipple will be good for 125.
Okay, so. I apologize to Steve. I thought I had scheduled him for 125 today. Got Maryland at Michigan State, 7:00 game, 3:00 or 7. Number 7, Michigan State, I should say. They dropped behind Michigan, which is controversial, despite the fact that they beat them head-to-head. But that's a 3:00 game on Fox. How do you expect Michigan State to respond after that tough loss to Purdue last week?
I think they'll be fine. I mean, Maryland could probably give them a bit of a game. Terrapins, by the way, just need one more win for bowl eligibility, and they do not have an easy path for it until, unless they beat Rutgers the final game. And they got Michigan State and Michigan the next 2 weeks. Maryland's a team that I always, for some reason, believe can stick in there and get an upset, and then most of the time when they play against the better teams, they get blown out. Haven't been close to Iowa, Ohio State, Penn State, or even Minnesota, so I think Michigan State will put some space between themselves and the Terrapins.
I hate to use the word soft, but it feels like Maryland, that's what they are every year. You start to feel confident that they're a pretty good football team, and maybe they are. I like Talia Tagovailoa, but they just don't seem to win when it matters. They got blown out by Penn State 31-14 last week. They're a 13-point dog to Michigan State this week, but they are bowl eligible if they win another game. They're 5-4, so that would be a big feather in the cap for Mike Locksley. Of course, the big game of the week, number 8-1, I should say, Michigan at Penn State, who's 6-3. It's an 11 a.m. game on ABC. Michigan, a 1.5-point favorite. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I suppose it sounds about right. But I mean, it's going to be a tough game. Again, a lot of people are on board with the fact that if Sean Clifford was healthy throughout the Iowa game, that they would have beat the Hawkeyes. They probably would have beat Illinois the next week. And they might not have beaten Ohio State because, I mean, he was pretty healthy by then. But still, so you're talking about two of the best teams maybe in the conference here. I'm fascinated to see how it plays out because Penn State, as of now, is not ranked. Like I said, I think they're one of the better teams in the league, but they could have 4 losses after this weekend.
Yeah. Okay. So here are my rankings. At number 14, I have Indiana, who's 0-6 in the league, 2-7 overall. They do have Rutgers, so a chance for Rutgers. They're hosting them this week. Chance for them to get a victory over Rutgers. They are coming off a loss to Michigan. That is Indiana, 29-7 last week. At number 13, Northwestern. They are 1-5 in the league, 3-6 overall. Of course, Nebraska's best win this year so far, Northwestern, 56-7. But they're at Wisconsin this week, and they're coming off a close loss to Iowa. You expect them to keep it close, but is that about right? 13 for Northwestern?
Yeah, I think that's about right. You're battling between a few pretty bad schools down there.
Rutgers, I've got at number 12. They're 1-5 in the league. And they are at Indiana this week, coming off that big 52-3 loss to Wisconsin. I thought they were going to be better. That maybe that Michigan game fooled me about Rutgers when they played them close in the second half. I think Greg Schiano's a good coach, but I was surprised they got destroyed by Wisconsin.
For what it's worth, you're not following a very good head-to-head. You're like the college football playoffs. Northwestern did beat Rutgers earlier, yet you have Rutgers above them in the stand in your rankings.
Wow. I didn't follow the head-to-head. Well, the reason I guess I did is because they're 4-5 and they still have a chance to make a bowl.
Yeah.
And Northwestern doesn't have a chance to make a bowl. But you're right. I probably could have done that, the head-to-head thing. Number 11, I've got Nebraska. They're 1-6 in the league, 3-7 overall. They are in a bye following the loss to Ohio State. Would you have had Nebraska higher or lower?
It depends on how you look at it. I keep looking at teams across the country, and I think, you know what? Nebraska's better than them. And then you think, would they beat them? Hey, they might be better than them. They probably wouldn't beat them.
Yeah. Number 10, I've got Maryland. They're 2-4 in the conference, 5-4 overall. They're at Michigan State this week, coming off that loss, that 31-14 loss to Penn State. Would you have had them higher or lower?
I think that's about right.
Illinois at number 9. They're 3-4 in the conference, 4-6 overall. They've got a bye this week, like Nebraska, following their big 14-6 win over Minnesota.
Watching them is, I love it because it's tough to watch. You look at it and you're just like, I think they're probably the worst team in the Big Ten, yet they keep grinding out these victories.
They threw for 80 yards last week, but they always have a guy that runs for 150. Chase Brown's a good running back, and I don't know how they do it. I mean, their defense is actually pretty good. That was a big part of the reason they beat Minnesota. Speaking of Minnesota, I have them at number 8. They're 4-2 in the league, 6-3 overall. They're at Iowa this week, coming off a loss from Illinois. Hard to figure Minnesota. They have a loss to Bowling Green and a loss to Illinois.
Yeah. And PJ Fleck, of course, just got the 7-year extension or whatever it was right before that. So a lot of jokes to be made. But it is what it is. They're just they're an inconsistent team. They're very beat up at running back, so things didn't go quite as well there. Not the send off for Tanner Morgan that you expected, but it is what it is. And for all the crap we're talking right now, they're tied for the Big Ten West lead.
They're way better than Nebraska, and they beat Nebraska.
Yeah.
They beat Nebraska the last 3 years in a row. Number 7, Iowa, 4-2 in the league, 7-2 overall. coming off a big win over Northwestern, 17-12, but they're 20th in the country.
I'll give you credit. You never bit on Iowa being the best team in the country, even or in the conference, even when they're ranked number 2. You just wouldn't put them there.
Yeah.
Now they're all the way down to 7, and I think falling.
Number 6 is Purdue, 4-2 in the conference, 6-3 overall, and they have 2 top 5 wins. Maybe they should be higher.
Maybe they should be. If they win this weekend, they definitely will be. Can a 3-loss team make the playoffs? With those quality wins, they have somewhat of an argument.
They are 19th in the country. At number 18 is Wisconsin, who's also 4-2. We think the best team in the West, 6-3 overall. They have the number 1 ranked defense in the country. They're coming off a huge win, 52-3 over Rutgers.
Yeah, I think that they've to me just kind of separated themselves as the best team. And of course, it was never a question that defense was really good. The only game that started to get out of hand was kind of that Notre Dame game, but that was a game even into the fourth quarter. But maybe the offense is coming along a little bit, though. They did lose Ches Malusi, their leading rusher for the season. So we'll see how that plays out.
I probably should have flipped the Wisconsin with Penn State. I had Penn State at 4, debated 3-3, 6-3 overall. They're coming off a win over Maryland. They had a close loss versus Ohio State. I think right now I would actually flip those. I would have Penn State at 5 and Wisconsin at 4.
What about the head-to-head? Wisconsin
I know.
beat Penn State.
They did. They did.
Penn State beat Wisconsin. I mean,
yeah, that's right. Penn State beat Wisconsin, but that was when Wisconsin was terrible. And now Wisconsin's all of a sudden good. I mean, I can't figure it out. I just feel like that's a new Wisconsin team you're seeing now compared to earlier in the year when we thought they could be one of the worst teams in the entire league.
Yeah,
we were wrong about Wisconsin. Number 3, I've got Michigan 5-1, 8 in the conference and 8-1 overall. A big win over Indiana last week, and they're 6th. The big controversy was them jumping to 6 over Michigan State, who's now 7th, despite the fact that Michigan State beat them head-to-head.
It's a tough conversation to have because, Purdue's not a bad loss, but then Michigan's loss to Michigan State's probably a better loss, but then Michigan State's best win is Michigan.
Yeah.
It's just all going in circles.
Yeah.
They're about right. They're ranked 6th and 7th in the nation right now. You can have them 2 or 3 here. You have your argument, but we'll see how that plays out too, because that's, we talk about the tie on top of the Big Ten West. Michigan State and Michigan both have a chance at Ohio State, and then you might have a tie on top of that division as well with everybody having 1 loss.
It's going to be so crazy. I do have Michigan State based on the head-to-head beating of Michigan. They were the beneficiary of some bad calls, I thought, in that game, but they're 7th, Michigan 6th, but I have them as number 2.
Do you feel a little bit of sympathy now for the college football playoff now that you're so inconsistent with your head-to-head
No, because I put this list together in 3 minutes.
Oh,
they're supposed to sit in a room and debate for 3 hours, and they still don't get it right. In number 1, I have Ohio State at 6-0 in the league, 8-1 overall. Gritty win against Nebraska. I don't any longer think that they can win the national title.
After the Nebraska game.
Just the way they've, not just the Nebraska game, the Penn State game before that.
Yeah.
Both were 9-point victories. Maybe that shows you they're gritty and they can win close games. It showed me more that they're not as explosive as I thought they were. And I don't think they're a good rushing offense. I don't think they commit to the run nearly enough to win a national title.
And talk about a grind. Purdue, Michigan State, and at Michigan, the final 3 games. I don't know if they're going to get through this thing being a competitor for the college football playoff, or maybe they'll have to jump into the 2-loss category that everybody's putting Alabama in if they lose.
Yeah. So there you go. That's my, you agree with it?
I do agree with it. I think as of now, that's where it'll be, but I'm not sure if Ohio State's going to win all 3 of those final games. So I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know if this is the year, depending on if it's Michigan State or Michigan that beats them, they should not have much of a problem with the Big Ten West opponent. So, I think one of those teams is going to the college football playoff, but this whole idea is that, it's Ohio State and Michigan are kind of second tier below that. It's just going to take one Saturday for one of those teams to have the opportunity to knock them off. And it's in the big house this year. Maybe maybe finally they break, what is it, a 14-year streak or whatever it is.
I can't decide if I'm rooting for Ohio State to get into the playoff because I'd like a Big Ten representative, or if I'm just rooting for mayhem all the rest of the way.
Yeah.
I'd like a little of both, but I don't know how it's going to turn out.
Mayhem gives Alabama a better chance.
Oh, no.
Unless Alabama's part of the mayhem.
You watch, Alabama's going to lose twice and still be in, and I'm going to be really, really angry if that happens. Let's get to break. Come back with Wingman, 464-5685. It's Thursday, so it's Husker Highlight Thursday. I'm going to focus on Nebraska versus Creighton basketball with my highlight
Less
today.
than a week away.
It is next Tuesday, to be exact, and it might be a highlight from one of those games. It could be. We'll do it. Coming up next, it's Wingman.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
If you're thinking about a new career, improving your job skills, or just continuing your love of lifelong learning, Southeast Community College's Spring Continuing Education Catalog is hitting your mailbox soon. It's chock full of options. Learn how to write a compelling grant application, become a pharmacy tech, or even learn to ride a motorcycle. We even provide the bike. Check out your catalog or go to southeast.edu/continuing education. SCC, your path to possible.
The worst of times can bring out the best in each of us. Doctors, nurses, and frontline workers have labored selflessly to keep us safe during the health crisis of our lifetime. How do we thank these heroes? It's simple. Get your COVID vaccine so we can end this pandemic. Variants are on the rise, and we don't want to put these heroes through another health crisis. They have given their all. Now it's up to you. Please do your part. For you, for them, for us.
This message sponsored by the Helmsley Charitable Trust, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. Football quarterfinals are in the books. In Class B, Waverly's season came to an end against Bennington, losing in a shutout 41-0. In Class C1, Lincoln Lutheran fell out of the playoffs, losing to Ord 42-7. In 6-man, Parkview Christian lost in their quarterfinals debut to Potter Dix 70-34. In recruiting, former Lincoln East quarterback Noah Walters has been offered a walk-on spot for the Cornhuskers. The volleyball playoffs have come to an end at the Bob Devaney Center. In Class B, Waverly lost to Omaha Skutt on Wednesday. Norris beat Elkhorn North on Friday in a 5-set thriller, but lost to Omaha Skutt on Saturday in 4 sets. In Class C1, Lincoln Lutheran beat Grand Island CC in a sweep, advancing them to the championship. There, they would play Kearney Catholic and win in 4 sets, anointing them this year's Class C1 state volleyball champions. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
The team that blew out the Cowboys.
That's what we gotta do.
That's the one we want to see again.
Denver with another touchdown.
Sunday, the Broncos return home as the Eagles fly into town. Join Dave Logan, Rick Lewis, and Susie Warchin.
Let's go!
On the KOA Broncos Radio Network.
The Eagles and the Broncos kick off at 3:25. Pregame starts at 1 p.m. right here on your home for the Denver Broncos in Lincoln, Nebraska. 93.7 The Ticket.
Dreaming of the perfect kitchen? More room for entertaining? Today, the Johnsons got both and saved by consolidating their debt. With a home equity line of credit, you can borrow money as you need it, have flexible payment options, and pay interest on only the money you're using. If you have equity in your home, the possibilities are endless with a home equity line of credit. What will you decide to do? Get started by visiting LibertyFirstCU.com today. Approval required. Equal opportunity lender. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
This is what Rob Aller says. Ryan Day is clearly comfortable enough in his own unshaven skin not to care what others think. Whether that means saying goodbye to facial grooming or going for it on 4th and 3, when the prudent play might be to kick a field goal.
Do you hear yourself talking right now? This is ridiculous.
I read it on Sunday and did not think it was ridiculous.
Are you crazy?
I did not think it was
so
ridiculous.
dumb.
I didn't think it was ridiculous.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
The weather has changed, and now it's time to adjust your footwear to change along with it. Stop into Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q to get ready for cooler temperatures and fashion trends. They're stocked with Hey Dudes, Brooks, New Balance, Tanner boots, Keen or Merrill hiking boots, and plenty of other options. Plus, they have Nordic beach jackets and bindle tumblers to take to the gym with your new athletic shoes. So get to Brown's Shoe Fit today at 66th and Q.
Is your furnace or heat pump ready for winter? Call Bryant to schedule your home heating check. Comfortable, safe, efficient. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating, 467-1111.
Tired of interrupted printing or money-wasting long-term copier contract? Join Cartridge World's no-cost printer program. You get a free brand printer, free service maintenance and repair, free delivery. All this for just buying our high-quality, affordable printer cartridges. Simple agreements and local friendly service, as it has been for more than 25 years. Cartridge World. Contact us today.
Lincoln's mega liquidation store is here. Wholesale Logistics opens Friday on West O Street as a bin store with tons of liquidation pallets, appliances, mattresses, furniture, laundry detergent, and more. Brand new mattresses, 30 to 60% off retail with well-known brands. New furniture, also 30 to 60% off retail value. Brand new LG scratch and dent appliances, 35 to 40% off retail. Wholesale Logistics purchases truckloads of smaller items from major retailers and throws them into bins, with everything starting at just $8. Get to Wholesale Logistics, opening Friday at 2811 West O Street.
If you're thinking about a new career, improving your job skills, or just continuing your love of lifelong learning, Southeast Community College's Spring Continuing Education Catalog is hitting your mailbox soon. It's chock full of options. Learn how to write a compelling grant application, become a pharmacy tech, or even learn to ride a motorcycle. We even provide the bike. Check out your catalog or go to southeast.edu/continuing education. SCC, your path to possible.
This is Wingman.
Son, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash.
I don't like you because you're dangerous.
That's right. You can be my wingman anytime.
Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings on 93.7 The Ticket.
464-5685. Call right now on the Honda Lincoln hotline to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings so you can go get chickens.
Oh,
Yardbirds!
Whoa, that was quick,
Whoa.
Bock.
Oh, yeah.
Bock, a little quick to pull the trigger.
I was excited about it. Sorry.
Very excited. He didn't come to rehearsal. It is Wingman time. It's Husker Highlight Thursday. We play the highlight. We bleep the names of, in this case, a shooter. We're looking for the name of the guy shooting the basketball.
It's basketball?
It's basketball.
Yes, it's basketball season tipped off.
And here we go. Here's today's highlight.
91 points on the board. They had 97 in 1990 as three falls. With a three. Nebraska is a red state once more.
That's right.
94-75. The Huskers break a 7-game losing skid to the Creighton Blue Jays and win it in a big.
All right, we just need the name of the shooter.
Hope you didn't hear the PA announcer.
Did you hear him in the background?
Yes.
Nice.
All right. 464-5685. Dave, what do you think?
I don't know. All I heard is bleep.
Dave,
bleep.
Dave, would you like me to give you the answer?
You have the answer.
That'd be okay.
You have your wingman.
I would say it's James Palmer Jr.
Let's go with that.
Okay, let's
Is
go
it
with James Palmer Jr. Because did the PA guy say it?
You hear the PA say it.
Here it is. Here's the full highlight.
91 points on the board. They had 97 in 1990 as Palmer's three falls. James Palmer Jr. with a three. Nebraska is a red state.
Also, I remember that big game and one of the shooters that year. So
Yeah, and if you bleep 3 times, it's got to be a junior. I mean, unless that's got to be James Palmer Jr. I don't know who else would be.
So we had lost 7 times in a row, and then we win that game in 2018, and now we've lost 3 in a row?
I think it's 2 in a row.
2 in a row. We've lost 2 in a row. So you're saying there's a chance.
Because they didn't get to play in 2020. That was a little disappointing.
Yeah, because conference only.
That's right. It was conference only. They get played in 2020.
That's
done.
They'll
Bock.
get their number this year.
You think so?
It's going to happen.
They didn't have the number.
Buck, I understand, of Western Illinois.
Yeah.
Pine Bluff was up 9 on Creighton.
That's right.
In that game.
That's right.
I don't think either team is going to be great. I think both have a chance to be on the bubble at the end of the year.
It's okay. I mean, you look around the country and there's a lot of programs losing bye games, I think is what John Rothstein needs to chill on Twitter.
Why is that? A friend of the program, John, not our program at Nebraska.
He needs to chill on Twitter. It was the whole 5 hours till college basketball, 4.5 hours till college basketball. And he counted it down. And then once it all happened, or every single result, he retweeted it. And like it was Nebraska loses a bye game to Western Illinois. Virginia loses a bye game to Navy. Chill.
What does that even mean, a bye game?
They didn't. It was easy. I don't know.
That sounds
Easy
like
money.
maybe that's what he means. Yeah, well, he isn't wrong.
Rico has knowledge.
Go ahead, dropping some knowledge, Rico. What do you
They
drop?
paid the teams to be here.
Oh well.
Why does that mean it's a buy?
Like BUI.
What?
Oh, okay. I thought that's
not
not
B, not like a
No,
bye week.
they paid the teams to be here, like when Nebraska lost to whoever, Troy,
Gardner Webb.
Or they almost lost to McNeese State.
Incarnate Word.
Yeah, those are the games you pay the smaller
Yes,
schools
that
come
makes
up.
sense.
You pay them money to normally you
to
get
come
an
in,
easy
clock you.
game, and they come in, they beat you, and you're like, well, here's your money. Thanks for the loss, you jerks.
And then you had their celebration. Western Illinois' celebration went on ESPN.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. I don't want to switch the script. Rico, are you doing okay today?
Yeah, I'm fine. Why?
Okay, your Knicks lost. They're 7-4.
They're 7-5.
We already did that.
The Bulls, but he's a Bulls fan, so he's got to keep.
They're
The Bulls are doing really
they're
well.
7-5 last year. At this point, they were 5-7. I'm fine.
That's good.
I'm fine.
Just flip
How
the
about
script.
The starters played like garbage, but also, hey, I'm not going to be rude. Shout out Lonzo Ball for almost hitting Dwight Powell in the head, but getting that pass through because that was a fantastic pass.
That's the Chicago Bulls, I guess, this year.
Lonzo's good.
Lonzo's always been a good passer,
but now
he's
he
actually
can shoot.
scoring.
But now he can shoot.
7 of 10 from deep last night.
Wow, that's incredible. If you would have told me he ever did that, in alone,
I mean, he did that at
alone in a
UCLA.
gym. I mean, but remember he had that crazy shot at UCLA. I mean,
but it went in.
It went in,
and then he got to the NBA, and for some reason they tried changing his shot right when he got in, and then it didn't work, so he went back to it, but it was still bad, and then whatever happened, and now he's okay again.
You don't usually see bad shooters become good shooters. It just doesn't happen very often.
It's hard. Some guys can work on it and get there. I
Yeah.
mean, Jimmy Butler famously did it, but
Well,
I mean, he's not a good shooter.
Your team, Chicago, 8-3 in the East, number 1 in the East right now.
Tied for first place in the East with the Washington Wizards.
Enjoy it.
Who would
And-
have thought?
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Have you looked at the standings?
They don't make any sense.
Atlanta, Indiana, and there's another team that's down like out
Even
of the
Milwaukee's
out of the
500.
playoff hunt, quote unquote.
Right.
That definitely should not be down there.
Right.
And like Toronto is up in like the top 6. Washington is tied for first. Like
Cleveland 6th.
Yeah, Cleveland. Like this is weird.
Boston is out of the top 10.
This is not gonna. It's not gonna hold. Like
I
this.
think the Wizards are actually pretty good.
There's gonna be a strong shakeup.
I will also say this big game on Friday for the Chicago Bulls as they travel to Golden State. 9 p.m.
That is big. That's an
ESPN.
interesting one.
What is Golden State? 10-1.
10-1.
Yeah.
They are supposedly thinking they're going to get Klay Thompson back before Christmas.
Ooh,
So they're only going to get better.
That team.
And they don't have Wiseman.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
I hate that team.
And
so much.
Wiggins was out of his mind last night. I mean,
Wiggins yammed on Cat, and it was great.
That was great.
Yeah. Just exciting times right now.
Exciting times. We like exciting times. We like to. You know what excites me? Well, I can't go on the air and tell you what excites me, but I will tell you that we're going to ask college football questions to Bock.
Yeah,
That's
there we go.
exciting.
Yeah.
He answers the questions that I ask him, and we call it Ask Bock. It's on the way.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
Is your furnace or heat pump ready for winter? Call Bryant to schedule your home heating check. Comfortable, safe, efficient. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating, 467-1111.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL Weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Increasing cloud cover this afternoon and increasing winds as northwest winds could gust 30 to 35 miles per hour with an afternoon high of around 53. We'll see increasing cloud cover again tonight with a low down to 33. Windy and cold tomorrow. Northwest winds gusting over 40 miles per hour and a high of only 37. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you're thinking about a new career, improving your job skills, or just continuing your love of lifelong learning, Southeast Community College's Spring Continuing Education Catalog is hitting your mailbox soon. It's chock full of options. Learn how to write a compelling grant application, become a pharmacy tech, or even learn to ride a motorcycle. We even provide the bike. Check out your catalog or go to southeast.edu/continuing education. SCC, your path to possible.
I'm Dan Friedman. When you entrust the care of an aging or sick loved one to a nursing home, it can be a gut-wrenching decision.
Unfortunately, sometimes these facilities are poorly managed or make bad decisions, and our vulnerable loved ones suffer the consequences. If you believe your loved one suffered at the hands of a poorly run nursing home, it doesn't cost you a thing to get the opinion of a skilled trial lawyer. At Friedman Law, we've been protecting the rights of injured Nebraskans for over half a century. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
Dreaming of the perfect kitchen? More room for entertaining? Today, the Johnsons got both and saved by consolidating their debt. With a home equity line of credit, you can borrow money as you need it, have flexible payment options, and pay interest on only the money you're using. If you have equity in your home, the possibilities are endless with a home equity line of credit. What will you decide to do? Get started by visiting libertyfirstcu.com today. Approval required. Equal opportunity lender. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
This is what Rob Aller says. Ryan Day is clearly comfortable enough in his own unshaven skin not to care what others think. Whether that means saying goodbye to facial grooming or going for it on 4th and 3, when the prudent play might be to kick a field goal.
Do you hear yourself talking right now? This is ridiculous.
I read it on Sunday and did not think it was ridiculous.
Are you crazy?
I did not think it was
so
ridiculous.
dumb.
I didn't think it was ridiculous.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket. In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels and Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels and Joe.
Venue at Home is your answer for locally made, freshly prepared meals delivered to your door every week. Our meals come ready to heat and eat. With sizes for 2 people or 4, Venue at Home is perfect for busy people who want a quick, easy, and delicious meal option to share with your roommates or feed the whole family. Add on from our wide selection of appetizers, sides, desserts, alcohol, and more. Receive a discount on your meals by subscribing to get Venue at Home delivered every week. Visit venueathome.net to order today. That's venueathome.net.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Join the whole Ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Sponsored by Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, Tractor Supply Distribution Center, T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Planet Fitness, Barnwood and Leather, and Vitalize Health.
The team that blew out the Cowboys.
That's what we gotta do.
That's the one we want to see again.
Denver with another touchdown.
Sunday, the Broncos return home as the Eagles fly into town. Join Dave Logan, Rick Lewis, and Susie Warchin.
Let's go!
On the KOA Broncos Radio Network.
The Eagles and the Broncos kick off at 3:25. Pregame starts at 1 p.m. right here on your home for the Denver Broncos in Lincoln, Nebraska. 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Coppell Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
You know, we failed, but I thought it was a great effort. I thought that the plan was laid out perfectly.
Jake Bockoven.
I'm not sure I get my point across properly. I'm sure I don't do a good job of explaining what I mean.
Tom and Bock starts now.
Welcome in hour number 3. It is Tom and Bock, Tom Stevens, Jake Bockoven. How's it going over there?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. It's a good day. Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to everybody out there.
Right. And we should give away the prize today from Beatrice Bakery. I'm going to give it to Yoga Man. He has nominated Sergeant Phillips. He continues his son's legacy and is a shining example of what a Marine vet and a man of God should be. So there you go.
Yeah.
Sergeant Phillips
Very cool.
Wins today from Beatrice Bakery. home of Grandma's fruit cake since 1964, full menu, which includes artesian cakes. They've got liqueur cakes, breakfast breads, and coffee cakes. It's perfect for any holiday gathering, birthdays, or any of life's everyday occasions. You can find them at beatricebakery.com. They have wonderful cakes. We've tried some of them, but they've got so many. Somebody was saying they buy more alcohol for their cakes than like any bakery
I heard
around.
that too.
They're an impressive operation. DP had a chance to visit. This is the real deal. They're really good at what they do. So thank you to Beatrice Bakery. Let's see. We're going to do Ask Bock, right? Coming up in just a few minutes. But I did want to do this first because Tom Chattel mentioned this in the Omaha World Herald. Actually wrote an article that I thought was really well written, comparing the end of the Frank Solich era when he fired George Darlington as a defensive backs coach, and Craig Bull was one of the big ones as well. And you mentioned he was on the list of one of the Nebraska's better defenses over the last 20 years. But he was fired. And then Milt Teneper, who was the offensive line coach at that time, retired. And Dan Young, his offensive line assistant, also retired. And then Frank hired Barney Cotton as the offensive coordinator. He had Marvin Sanders, the defensive back coach. Tim Albin, was he quarterback coach or I don't remember what he did. I think Scott Downing coached the wide receivers, and then you had Jimmy Williams as well. And they promoted Turner Gill at that same time. Then later, of course, the big hire was Bo Pelini. That's a lot more coaches than what we're talking about with Frost with 4. And it worked out really well in that particular case. In fact, mostly talking about offensive side of the ball, though, at that particular time. But you added Marvin Sanders to the defense. You added more on the defensive side with Bo Pelini.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big overhaul.
Well, two of the hires were future college coaches. I mean, that's a pretty big search.
But that's a lot of guys to hire. That's 5 dudes to replace, some of them on offense, some of them on defense. And Nebraska's defense was one of the best defenses in the country that year. Their offense was, it was okay.
It was all right.
It was okay. It wasn't great. But do you see any similarities to what Scott Frost is going to have to do with that era?
Well, it is the closest thing, and certainly because it was successful. It was successful certainly to get Bo Pelini and change the course of Nebraska history from there, of course. But it's reminiscent because it was successful, but it didn't work, right? It wasn't enough to keep Frank Solich from getting fired.
No.
And so then they let go, like I said, 2 future coaches, one of them at Nebraska, but Tim Albin, head coach at Ohio now. So 2 future FBS coaches because of that. That's where I think there should be more of a diligent job. If you're coaching a team, if you're firing the head guy, you don't always have to get rid of all the assistants. It just feels like that's the way it is. And coaches want to start anew and bring in their own guys. And I get that, but I kind of think it would be not the worst idea if Shenander has another good year and Frost, whatever the coaching changes he makes on offense don't work and they don't get to a bowl game next year. And Shenander's defense is just as good as this, next year as it is this year, which won't be easy. That you might consider keeping him. And I know that didn't necessarily work with Sean Watson, which was years later in 2008, where they kept their quarterback or the offensive coordinator who seemed to be working under Callahan. And then they fired him after 2009, where, that offense was pretty bad. But I just think that should be more of a thought, because Nebraska let go of Bo Pelini and Tim Albin there. It would have been nice to hold those guys on for a little while longer throughout the Callahan era.
It was a good year. I mean, if Scott Frost goes 9-3, he's definitely keeping his job. But Frank did it in part because Tom Osborne's coaches, which he was handed, were getting older in part, and they weren't having success as well. And he didn't have a good relationship with his athletic director, Steve Peterson, at all. That's the difference here, is because it seems that, at least watching a little bit from afar, that Trev Alberts and Trev and Scott have a pretty good relationship. Like, they're on the same page. You had the coach give up a lot of money there to make this thing happen, and now he's going to go out and hire new coaches, similar to what Frank had to go with. But the expectations, obviously looking back, were pretty high for Frank because you had won so many games and won 3 national titles with Tom Osborne that the pressure just apparently too much. I mean, who would have been able to put up with that type of pressure? But it does have a lot of parallels to what's going on now with what happened then. And it makes you think replacing 5 coaches then, 4 coaches now, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to, but I guess depending on what the expectations are.
Yeah, and that's an interesting question in of its own because I think that the expectations might be the 8 or 9 wins or whatever because the S&P ranking for Nebraska kind of gives you an idea that this team should be a 6 or 7 win team this year, so you want to get better next year. But I don't think that they would. I don't know if you would call a 6-6 season a disappointment again next year because that's at least improvement and getting to a bowl and all that, which they haven't done under Frost yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. I was also interested to hear that Frost and you mentioned the relationship between Frost and Trev Alberts. I was interested to hear that's a rather new thing. They didn't, they both played in the 90s, but they never really crossed paths.
They didn't.
And so they, even before he was hired as athletic director, they hadn't really crossed paths. So that's kind of a new relationship that they're building. But I love the fact, I just loved everything that Trev Alberts has done as an athletic director so far. The red carpet experience is one of my favorite things that he's done. But just the way that he goes about his press conferences relates to Nebraska fans. And then, the weekly conversations with Scott Frost and trying to be somewhat of a mentor, it seems like, to Scott Frost and bringing him along. And then regardless of what you think about the decision to keep Frost around, you might be kind of mad about that. I like the fact that he went in there and got that buyout cut significantly, which was a lot bigger. Some people focus on, okay, he's making $1 million less a year. That's not near as big a deal as the buyout.
Yeah, that was a good business deal.
Yeah.
Conducted by Trev, but he couldn't have done it unless Scott Frost agreed to it. So you give him Frost some credit, betting on himself. I think they're both kind of, now have some skin in the game. I think that's how Trev phrased it. At the end of the column with Chattel, he talks about maybe, Frank went through this and now Frost is going through the same thing. Both legends played at Nebraska, coached at Nebraska, had high expectations. Maybe there's something that Frank, being a fired coach,
retired.
Well, he was fired.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
When he was at Nebraska. He was
yeah.
fired by Nebraska, Steve Peterson, before he moved on to Ohio. But maybe he, can relate to what Scott is going through. Bring him back as a mentor. I think that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, of course. We saw that under the Riley administration. A lot of offensive analysts and kind of older guys that have been through it. And you'd like to see that at Nebraska. I don't know if Frank is necessarily maybe wants to retire so he can sit at home. Maybe he's done with this. But it would be interesting and intriguing to bring him back because I think that's because when you're talking about Scott Frost going into the CEO role, it'd be great to have some sort of mentor that's been in that CEO role. Yeah. And that's kind of what Frank, like you said, went through in 2003, where it was the same idea of, okay, giving up play calling and moving into more of the CEO role. And
I actually thought that's what Tom Osborne would provide. And maybe it just hasn't happened that way. I mean, again, Tom might want to, sit in the chair as well. Although I have no idea what these guys want to do, but it would be nice for Frost to rely on that type of information if it's there. And Frank could share some nuggets of advice, or maybe even be a consultant, or Tom Osborne for that matter. I'd be all in for that.
How about step beyond that? How about offensive coordinator? How excited would you be if Trev Alberts just said, "Yeah, I don't know if this is going to work, but since we're already down in the dumps, let's just have the ultimate Husker year and bring Tom Osborne and Frank Soldier, our co-offensive coordinators." And for 1 year, and then we'll see what happens after.
No, I mean, hell, if it works, hell. It is time for Ask Bock. Please hit the music. Oh yeah, I do dig this music. It's Ask Bock music, and we ask him a bunch of college football questions. He answers them to the delight of everyone. If Alabama loses 2 games this year, Bock, will they still make the college football playoff in your mind?
I don't think so. And part of that problem is kind of what happens around them, right? If Texas A&M has 2 losses, you have to go with the head-to-head there, I would think. So Texas A&M would get over them. I just think that Alabama and Ed Orgeron said this past week after barely losing to them. He said that's not the Alabama team we've seen in the past. And Ed Orgeron doesn't have anything to gain or lose by saying that sort of thing. Of course, he's fired at the end of the season at LSU. So I'm interested to see. Of course, the playoff seems to love them. They're at number 2 now, but I think they do these rankings sometimes in a way to protect themselves, knowing that it'll play out that way, right? They know eventually it's going to decide what's going to happen. I predict more than likely Alabama will be a top 5 or 6 team by the end of the season. But if you have 2 losses, I just don't see any way they could get in. It'll be interesting, though, if it is Alabama 2-loss, Cincinnati undefeated right at that line, because if they make that decision, woo-wee, are we going to have some debates and it'll be interesting. But again, it goes back to what do you want for your playoff? Do you want the team that's most deserved to get in, the resume, or do you want the playoff, like the whole idea of having an 8-team or 12-team playoff or whatever they're moving forward? The reason I don't like it is because then Alabama will get in every year, and Alabama might win every year. That takes away from the excitingness of the regular season when Alabama gets knocked off and you go, hey, they might be the best team, but they're not winning this year. That's awesome.
But if you have 12 teams in and that year that Cincinnati knocks off Alabama, it's the best thing ever. And maybe that does happen. At least there's hope that could happen if you have a 12-team playoff. I understand what you're saying, but Alabama's getting in every year as it is. So what does it matter?
Well, 1-loss Alabama will. 2-loss Alabama, I don't think
they will. They might. Why would they leave them at number 2? They're setting it up so they can lose 2 and still be in. That's my conspiracy theory. If Alabama does beat Georgia, that means Cincinnati is in or out, I should say. Do you agree with that?
I mean, that's 2 SEC spots. You would have to think that between the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and Oregon and Oklahoma, these things usually play themselves out. But yeah, I mean, if any conference gets 2 playoff spots, I think that's going to freeze Cincinnati out. And I think Alabama, I mean, SEC is probably the only team, only conference in the running there. There's not much respect for Oklahoma State. Baylor seems to be kind of out of it now. The Michigan State thing could still play out to where you'd have 1 loss there. But no, I mean, ultimately, I think if the SEC gets 2, Cincinnati's left out.
I think I think not only that, there are several scenarios that Cincinnati has to hope for. They have to hope that Oklahoma doesn't go undefeated or that Oregon doesn't go undefeated. I think either of those 2 teams could knock them out.
Oh, yeah,
they would. They need a lot of things to happen around them. If Michigan goes undefeated, they might be in trouble.
From here on out.
Or Michigan State goes undefeated from here on out.
But I think you're only getting 1 team from the Big Ten because all those teams play each other. And you're obviously only getting 1 team from the Pac-12. And I just, the winner between Oklahoma would probably get in. I mean, you could have it to where Oklahoma State beats Oklahoma.
I know.
And you have 2 1-loss Big 12 teams, but then they'd face each other in the Big 12 championship. So they would work each other out. So, yeah, I think the SEC is the only team that can get 2 teams in if Alabama beats Georgia.
Give me your 4 teams right now.
If I had to pick today.
Yeah, I had to pick right now. You're on the committee. Your 4 teams in the playoff.
I would probably go Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, and I'd put Cincinnati in.
No Alabama?
No, I wouldn't put Alabama in. They lost to Texas A&M. That's a good loss. Ohio State, Oregon. Ohio State's loss is to Oregon, another team I'm putting in. I might not put Oregon in. Actually, I'd probably take that back. I'd probably put Alabama in over Oregon.
See, it had me excited, and then you put Alabama.
Well, Oregon
back.
lost. But I put more into quality of loss than the playoff committee does. That UCLA loss to me to Oregon, or not UCLA. That'd be great if it was UCLA. It was Stanford. Yeah. Stanford's terrible. If you lose to Stanford, and that's your singular loss compared to the other teams, I know they got the best head-to-head win, but that's a bad loss.
Best player in college football, Bock, is who?
The best player might be Caleb Williams, but I don't think that he is going to win the Heisman like your hopefully is because he just doesn't have enough of games to do it. Another one could be Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker might win the Heisman. He leads the nation in rushing right now. I know Nebraska shut him down in the second half, but he's been nails every other game he's played.
Caleb Williams will be in the Heisman ceremony in New York. True or false?
I do think I think there's a possibility there. That's hard if you hold me to the fire right now, because they do have those games left against Oklahoma State and Baylor. He's done it against inferior competition. He didn't have a point. His offense didn't have a point against Kansas in the first half a couple weeks ago. So I don't have too much faith in it. But as far as right now, you look at the Heisman odds, he's right up there with Kenneth Walker and C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. So I think that if they did it today, he'd probably be invited.
What he did in that Kansas game, though, Bock, was incredible.
It was.
40-yard run. He takes the ball away from his own running back to get a first down, which was incredible. I agree. His team's not great, but that guy is great.
Oh, yeah.
That guy is really, really good. And I think his team is getting better because he's so good. Any other questions I want to ask you? Ohio State versus Michigan, November 27th. Who you got in that one?
You have to lean toward Ohio State. I want to go back and look how much it is, because Ohio State and Michigan, that series is so lopsided now. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like every year that's the big game. And, I don't know, but even recently, of course, there was the years that we thought we were going to get Meyer and Harbaugh, and that was going to be great. But it's been like 14 years. I cannot, in my right mind, pick Michigan to win a game when they just can never do it against Ohio State.
Yeah, I wouldn't either until they prove it. Although I think the matchup might favor a really physical Michigan team this year. But there is some disconnect when Harbaugh takes on Ohio State. I mean, that team, it just has his number.
So the stat is 15 out of 16. That's how many Ohio State's won against Michigan. Michigan did win in 2011, so it's not as bad as I made it sound. They've only lost 8 in a row. That's pretty bad, too.
All right, that's this week's edition of Ask Bock. It's fun. We'll ask Steve Sipple a bunch of questions as well regarding Nebraska football, and we'll do it coming up next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on.
Increasing cloud cover this afternoon and increasing winds as northwest winds could gust 30 to 35 miles per hour with an afternoon high of around 53. We'll see increasing cloud cover again tonight with a low down to 33. Windy and cold tomorrow. Northwest winds gusting over 40 miles per hour and a high of only 37. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
The workday is long, the bills are due, and sometimes you just need to relax. There's no better way to do that than in your brand new hot spring spa from Bonsall Pool & Spa. With hot tubs as low as $75 per month and interest-free financing, you're sure to find the perfect spa to fit your lifestyle. So get over to Bonsall Pool & Spa today and check out their selection of hot spring spas. Bonsall Pool & Spa, 33rd and Highway 2. Every day made better.
The past year and a half has been a challenge, but parents, students, and our Nebraska public school educators adapted, innovated, and continued teaching and learning. November 15th through the 19th is American Education Week, a time to celebrate learning. Thank you for supporting your local public school. Together, we're helping students achieve and succeed.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
The weather has changed, and now it's time to adjust your footwear to change along with it. Stop into Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q to get ready for cooler temperatures and fashion trends. They're stocked with Hey Dudes, Brooks, New Balance, Danner boots, Keen or Merrill hiking boots, and plenty of other options. Plus, they have Nordic beach jackets and Bindle tumblers to take to the gym with your new athletic shoes. So get to Brown's Shoe Fit today at 66th and Q.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. Football quarterfinals are in the books. In Class B, Waverly's season came to an end against Bennington, losing in a shutout 41-0. In Class C1, Lincoln Lutheran fell out of the playoffs, losing to Ord 42-7. In 6-man, Parkview Christian lost in their quarterfinals debut to Potter Dix 70-34. In recruiting, former Lincoln East quarterback Noah Walters has been offered a walk-on spot for the Cornhuskers. The volleyball playoffs have come to an end at the Bob Devaney Center. In Class B, Waverly lost to Omaha Skutt on Wednesday. Norris beat Elkhorn North on Friday in a 5-set thriller, but lost to Omaha Skutt on Saturday in 4 sets. In Class C1, Lincoln Lutheran beat Grand Island CC in a sweep, advancing them to the championship. There, they would play Kearney Catholic and win in 4 sets, anointing them this year's Class C1 state volleyball champions. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop, but you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket, sponsored by Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, Tractor Supply Distribution Center, T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Planet Fitness, Barnwood and Leather, and Vitalize Health.
Welcome back, Husker fans. Eustace Body Shop is happy to welcome the best fans in college football back to Lincoln. With gold-class certified service, OEM parts, and free loaner cars, Eustace Body Shop can call the right plays to keep you in the game. Whether it's in Lincoln at 88th and Highway 2 or at any of our other 5 locations across Nebraska, Eustace Body Shop can help get you back on the road. Go Big Red.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Barry's is back and better than ever. Join us there on Tuesday from 3 to 6 p.m. as DP goes one-on-one and Jay Foreman joins for Old School as we prepare for the Creighton, Nebraska game to follow. Drinks, food, and sports talk. Join us for it all on Tuesday at Barry's.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. It is Tom and Bock, hour number 3, as we welcome in a legend, Steve Sipple of the Lincoln Journal-Star. Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're good.
Thanks for having me on.
We've talked a little bit about some of the things said yesterday to Scott Frost, and I'm sure you were there as he spoke to the media. One of the things that stood out to us, among others, was the special teams conversation that he's considering the possibility of hiring a full-time guy, and that he thinks Nebraska special teams, aside from the specialists, is not too bad. What'd you make of some of those comments?
Oh, I mean, I understand where he's coming from. I'm not in the camp that, I should thank publicly real quick Bock, Jake Bockoven, for helping out and doing my show, my Jake and I show this morning.
Of course.
I really appreciate it. He was wonderful. And I know that's a lot to do. You got to come in there early in the morning and do the show there and talk about the same stuff. And Bock, I know where Bock stands on it. I don't know where you stand on it, Tom. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to hire a special teams coach. The way it unfolded this year, obviously was far from perfect, but I saw progress. I didn't see it's hard to say this after what happened against Ohio State, a 31-yard field goal miss that really, really cost them, and that sort of thing happening over and over. But I buy into what Frost says. It's not the first time I've heard it. there's guys within the program that would say the same thing that Scott says, which is that the issue is the specialist. It's not necessarily scheme and structure. They're a ways away from where you want it to be, but they've moved forward. And I don't know, they've just had a disastrous season at the place kicker position. The punter position, there was a disaster, but that's smoothed out a little bit. The punt return has smoothed out. The kickoff return's not where you want it to be, but I mean, I think coverage has been good and really good at times, no matter what I don't know what the stats say, but and I know there's metrics out there that I don't know what the hell they even mean, but there's metrics out there that weigh special teams in totality. I don't know. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but it wouldn't, like, if he hired a special teams coach, I'd totally get it. But it comes down to how does he want to configure the rest of his staff.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Of course, the other day as well, talking about the staff, the biggest hire is going to be the offensive coordinator, and it sounds like they're more leaning toward tweaking the offense than an overhaul. Do you think that that's the right move with just 1 year to get this right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to do whatever works fast, and I mean, when you start talking about systems and all that, it doesn't mean all that much to me. What means a lot to me is, does whatever this system or tweak is, does it fit your personnel, number one? And then the next question is quarterback personnel. I mean, what is that going to look like? I mean, I think what you're looking at here is this. I just don't think the quarterback position should be. I'm just going to say this: it should be foremost in the discussion. I mean, I think the way I size all this up is I'm most interested in, number one, who he hires as the offensive coordinator, and number two, what he does with the quarterback position. Those are the two critical areas that need to be addressed. So let's see what that looks like.
Steve Sipple of the Lincoln Journal-Star, our guest. Scott mentioned that it was taking a lot of his time being kind of the coordinator of this team, and yet trying to be a CEO. So the next offensive coordinator will be apparently fully in control of the offense and have the car keys, where Scott is going to take more of a global view. Do you think that is the right move for Scott Frost, and how hard will that be to achieve, you think?
I've always thought that. I thought that for a long time. It's not that I don't think. I mean, we've had these discussions going back to the Frank Solich era. Remember, Tom?
Yeah.
It was a discussion then, and I came down where I came down on it where I come down now. I think a job of this magnitude, that's this nuanced and this complex, it makes more sense to me to have a CEO type of head coach. And it's not like, I got to be careful, because some listeners will say, well, you haven't exactly been loud in voicing your displeasure with the way he did it. And I have. Some guys can do it. You know what? These discussions often just come down to, they're very subjective in nature, and it depends on the individual. Some individuals can really thrive in that role, in that they can be the play caller, lead the offense, and handle the global nature of that job. It's just, I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? Some guys are just more cut out to do that than others. Some guys are willing to go in the office. Oh, I've heard Rick Neuheisel talk about it, and I've always been taken by it. He was a play caller as a head coach for a period, and then I think he relinquished those duties because he said, or how he handled it was this. He said, I would go into the office at extremely early hours and do all of my game planning, scouting the defense, self-scouting the offense, getting the play sheet ready. He would do that super early in the morning, like 5, 8, and get everything in that realm done before 8 a.m. when all hell would break loose. And that's, you can only imagine, guys, what happens on a daily basis when you're leading a program with that, with 200 plus people.
Right.
I mean, leading the ticket would be a bit of a chore, right? So leading the Journal-Star, same way. Now think about leading a program and all the different things that go into it, and all the nuances of college football in general. So yeah, it's just the way Trev laid it out made a lot of sense.
And I thought something that was interesting the other day, and might really focus in on the quarterback specifically that we were saying, but that Frost said that they're pretty much full go from here on out, other than JoJo Doman's got a decision to make. But I thought there might be more decisions to make, because this seemed like, the moves being made now. I understand why it happened. College football and recruiting has moved up and all that stuff. But it seems like somewhat of a bail on the Wisconsin and Iowa, and maybe giving it your full go. So I thought maybe some players would think, well, we didn't get to the bowl game. Maybe I should prepare for the next level. But it sounds like they're full go. And specifically with quarterback, Adrian Martinez, you mentioned the quarterback thing earlier. Do you feel like this is his last year? A lot of people are getting the sense that this is probably going to be it for Adrian here these last couple games.
Okay, now here's what happened. I could only catch a little bit. I'm on this stretch of US 77 where I always lose service, but I'm turning on to the interstate. So can you just kind of repeat that, Bock?
Oh, I was just asking. Basically, if Adrian, if these final two games are going to be the last chapters for Adrian here at Nebraska, a lot of people kind of getting that sense.
Yeah, I'm getting that sense. And here's the thing: when I talk about going into the portal to get a quarterback, and how important that is in the grand scheme of things, that's not necessarily with the idea that Adrian won't be there. But I think you got to bring in somebody to compete for sure. And now I know everybody's going to say, oh yeah, that's great. That'll work really well. A guy's going to want to come in here with Adrian. If it's handled correctly, it can absolutely work. And especially with the way the dynamics change now, because you can tell a quarterback in the portal, look, we're changing the offense. We're going to have a new person in charge of the offense, and Adrian's not going to have, a huge. It's not. So you can absolutely make it work Adrian around if he so chooses.
Yeah.
But whether Adrian's here or not, I believe you've got to go into the portal to get a quarterback.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't dissuade you if Adrian decides to stay.
Well, you do look at the roster, and if Adrian's gone, I'm not sure that necessarily means you're better. Or if Ben Stilley's gone, and obviously he is, and JoJo and DeAndre Evans, even if you do a good job with the portal, you're losing Samari Toure. He might be your best receiver. It's not as easy as saying, well, they built this culture and now we're fine.
No, it's not, Tom, but you can do it. Here's what I'd say, here's how I look at that.
Mm-hmm.
I think these coaches think a little differently than a lot of media. It seems like we always find reasons why things can't work.
Yeah.
I mean, I think coaches, it's built into their DNA that they find ways that it can work. I mean, Mel Tucker made it work. He just made it work. He had a plan. He had a great plan, in fact, that he was going to go in and treat it like an NFL situation into the portal. And he identified the spots where they needed the guys most. He brought the guys in. He guaranteed them nothing. It helped the culture of the team because he guaranteed those guys nothing. Some of the guys won jobs. Some of them didn't. When they didn't, it helped the culture of the team because he held firm to what he was saying. This is the way you got to do it in college football in a lot of cases. Yeah. And in Nebraska's case, you got to do it. You just got to say you can do it. And it's just like the coaching thing. I hear all these guys saying, Sipple, there's no way this can work. Well, I've seen it work. I saw it work in 2002. Yeah, it's a little different. And I know what everybody's going to do. They're going to nuance up the discussion. But I don't know. All I saw was Frank changed. He hired 6 new guys, 3 on defense, and the defense turned on a dime.
Yeah.
The defense was awful when Bock came in. It was pretty bad in 2002, and it turned on a dime in 2003. You can absolutely make this stuff work.
Steve Sipple of the Lincoln Journal-Star. Scott Frost talked about wanting fresh ideas, and that makes me think, does that mean the offensive coordinator will be somebody that he doesn't know or that he's not familiar with what they were doing? Or did you take that to mean anything like they're going to go outside the Husker family or people that Scott Frost has connections with for this new staff, or does that mean anything, the fresh ideas thing?
I think it's meaningful. I don't think Scott has a real wide net in terms of connections in the coaching world.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be somebody he doesn't know, which is just fine. I mean, you can definitely do that. You can hire 4 guys you've never been around, and it can work just fine. They did that at Ohio State. Urban Meyer, that staff wasn't a bunch of guys that when Urban was there, it wasn't a bunch of guys who were chummy. I mean, it was just a bunch of guys. I've talked to guys who are familiar with the staff. They're just guns that head in there and go to work, and there's a lot to be said for that. So as far as that goes, I don't know what that's going to look like. Just try to get the best guy and the guy with the offense that best fits your personnel, and not make it all that hard.
And just news that's coming out here over the last 10, 15 minutes is that JoJo Domann is indeed done with his Husker career. He has had surgery on his hand this past week that'll take him out for the rest of the season. How much of a loss is that for Nebraska's defense, which has been so good in the final 2 games?
Well, JoJo's absolutely one of the best players on the team. It's not – now, if this was Ohio State week, it would have a much broader impact because of JoJo's ability to play in space. His effectiveness is somewhat compromised against teams like Iowa and Wisconsin because he's a better player outside the box than inside the box. So he's good. I mean, he's a good player inside, but he really thrives in space. And come on, you know what these games are going to look like. So it was a good time for JoJo to make this decision. He made it. I know he made it with the NFL in mind that if he played through the season, then elected to get surgery after the Iowa game in that November 27th, 28th range, then it would hold him back a little too much for his liking in the NFL draft process. So it's made with it, and he's an NFL player. He's gonna play in the NFL. And he's, but he might compromise that situation by trying to play with a club on and or delaying the surgery.
Hey, Steve, how concerned are you with Husker basketball dropping their opener to Western Illinois?
Not really.
Yeah.
Early in the year. I mean, it's not perfect, and it does make me much more interested in Sam Houston State because I think if you talk to, it'd be hard to find people that could compare and contrast Sam Houston State and Western Illinois. Those people, there's not a lot of those people out there. But I think if you talk to somebody on Nebraska staff, they would tell you that Sam Houston State's better than Western Illinois. So that alone makes me interested in the game and will probably get me there.
Yeah, and it sounds like they like to crash the board. So another test in the rebounding department for Nebraska basketball tomorrow night when they take on Sam Houston State. Great stuff as always, Steve. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. And Bock, I'll see you in the morning, my man.
All right, sounds good.
Right. Close personal friend of ours, Steve Sipple. Thank you. There he goes, Stephen M. Sipple of the Lincoln Journal-Star. And Bock is hosting. Because where's Jake?
Jake will be at a game tonight in Miami for Thursday Night Football. He'll be watching Lamar Jackson and the Ravens take on his Dolphins. So he's made the trek out to his Dolphins.
Why
game.
would you go to that game knowing that you're probably going to get smashed?
Well, there's not too many Dolphins games to pick from, right?
I would wait for a Jags game and then just hope that they have a chance to win.
I think he's taking the bye week, the opportunity to go see something.
You're going to Miami.
Yeah, and you just the worst. Yeah,
that's
who cares? The Dolphins lose you in Miami.
Is there such a thing as a bad trip to Miami? I don't even think that's possible. It's definitely not. Back in the Orange Bowl era. Going to Miami, it was just so much fun.
I still haven't made it to Miami. I need to go.
It's rather nice. The weather is great. I don't know if you've heard, but the weather's really good. Let's get to break. Come back with pregame. Nick and Rico will be here on the way.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
The workday is long, the bills are due, and sometimes you just need to relax. There's no better way to do that than in your brand new hot spring spa from Bonsall Pool and Spa. With hot tubs as low as $75 per month and interest-free financing, you're sure to find the perfect spa to fit your lifestyle. So get over to Bonsall Pool and Spa today and check out their selection of hot spring spas. Bonsall Pool and Spa, 33rd and Highway 2. Every day made better.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
This is what Rob Aller says. Ryan Day is clearly comfortable enough in his own unshaven skin not to care what others think. Whether that means saying goodbye to facial grooming or going for it on 4th and 3 when the prudent play might be to kick a field goal.
Do you hear yourself talking right now?
This
is ridiculous.
I read it on Sunday and did not think it was ridiculous.
Are you crazy?
I did not think it was
so
ridiculous.
dumb.
I didn't think it was ridiculous.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Lincoln's mega liquidation store is here. Wholesale Logistics opens Friday on West O Street as a bin store with tons of liquidation pallets, appliances, mattresses, furniture, laundry detergent, and more. Brand new mattresses 30 to 60% off retail with well-known brands. New furniture also 30 to 60% off retail value. Brand new LG scratch and dent appliances 35 to 40% off retail. Wholesale Logistics purchases truckloads of smaller items from major retailers and throws them into bins, with everything starting at just $8. Get to Wholesale Logistics opening Friday at 2811 West O Street.
Welcome back, Husker fans. Eustace Body Shop is happy to welcome the best fans in college football back to Lincoln. With Gold Class certified service, OEM parts, and free loaner cars, Eustace Body Shop can call the right plays to keep you in the game. Whether it's in Lincoln at 88th and Highway 2 or at any of our other 5 locations across Nebraska, Eustace Body Shop can help get you back on the road. Go Big Red.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Hi, this is Kurt, your shop manager at A1 Automotive here in downtown Lincoln. My promise to you is this: you won't find another automotive repair facility that genuinely cares about you and your vehicle. Our service is outstanding and our customer service is better. Please give me a call for all your automotive repair questions and needs. Call me at 402-477-4660. We were built on small town values, and that shows in how we treat others. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
I'm Dan Friedman. When you entrust the care of an aging or sick loved one to a nursing home, it can be a gut-wrenching decision. Unfortunately, sometimes these facilities are poorly managed or make bad decisions, and our vulnerable loved ones suffer the consequences. If you believe your loved one suffered at the hands of a poorly run nursing home, it doesn't cost you a thing to get the opinion of a skilled trial lawyer. At Friedman Law, we've been protecting the rights of injured Nebraskans for over half a century. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great. We're definitely coming back.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop, but you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Hi, I'm Charlie Stone, and joining me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, are you there?
Yes, I am, Charlie.
Hey, Andy, I saw on television you have more than 500 new Hondas in stock or on the way. Now, I'm sure the listeners would like to hear more about that.
Well, Charlie, it's true. We have truckloads of new Hondas arriving just about every day. What's different is you won't see them on the lot very long. The because most all of them are pre-sold. And that's what we're encouraging all of our customers to do is get in here, get their order in as soon as possible.
Well, tell me, Andy, will they have to wait long?
Not really. It could be a few days or maybe even a few weeks, but not long at all. So I really invite everyone to come on out and experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Thank you, Andy. Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln.
Welcome to today's episode of The Great Unknowns. Last time we talked about why chickens can't just cross the road in peace. Today's topic is the great unknowns of the future. Like, am I ready for what life throws at me? Well, that answer is easy. Just call a local State Farm agent. State Farm agents will help you plan for the what-ifs in life so you know what to expect if the unexpected happens. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Kreekak, at 402-474-1173.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Final moments of Tom and Bock, and we get ready for the pregame. Nick is here. Rico will be here. The big announcement today, JoJo Domann has announced that his career at Nebraska is over. He was the last one to play in a bowl game. Sixth-year senior outside linebacker said goodbye via Twitter today and explained his decision on the podcast, The Beat. So I guess he was saving it a little bit for The Beat.
Yeah, that's a good place to break it. Also, if that doesn't impress you enough, he played through the injury against Ohio State. So he made that interception and played a wonderful game that got him really, I think, the eyes of some of the NFL people and the NFL draft. So he played a great game with an injury.
Yeah.
And it
happened very recently. He said he hit his hand on the helmet of a Purdue player and suffered the injury to a middle finger. He said, I remember looking down at my knuckle and said, that's not good. And it wasn't good. And so now he needs surgery and probably needs some time to heal before like a combine situation or a pro day situation.
Would you call him the heart and soul of the defense? Probably. I mean, pretty close to it. Maybe the standout of the defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's your Swiss Army knife. I mean, we've all said it. He does a lot of different things pretty well. I think he has an NFL career.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I think
very versatile.
Yeah. I mean, with today's offenses, his ability to cover at a pretty high level and tackle in space. And he's obviously a really smart guy, and his dad has NFL connections. Yeah, I think he'll get a definite shot. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, he'll definitely get a shot. I'm not sure he'll be a top 2 or 3 round draft pick.
No.
It's going to be a
4 or 5 maybe 5 or 6.
He's a third day guy.
The way I look at him is
what do you think he runs?
What
do you think he runs? I think he runs a
4.8,
4.7, 4.8, high 4.7, low 4.8.
Well, then that wouldn't help you. If it's 4.6-ish, I think he's got a chance.
He's not running a 4.6.
I just think
I think a Nate Gary type career for him, right?
Exactly.
Where he's, I think it's going to be harder to be as versatile going up against NFL wide receivers. Yeah. But he could still, they're still going to need him out there. So
I just see him being a fringe day 3 undrafted free agent, like one of those priority.
I think he's played himself in to get drafted, and I could even see it, like you're saying, 4th or 5th round.
Well, I think he may have played himself into getting drafted, but he has to test well, because right now he went from undrafted to possibly 6th, 7th round. If he doesn't perform well out of combine situation, probably priority undrafted free agent.
I like the Nate Gary comparison. I think he's more of a hybrid, and I always thought Nate Gary was, and he was drafted as a linebacker when he was safety at Nebraska, and that's kind of what JoJo is.
Bulked him up.
Yeah, they bulked him up.
You also have to remember he's a little bit older, so that might not help. That might not help his draft stock either.
Is filled with guys. It's just the biggest draft pool and it'll end forever. So it's gonna be hard to be.
How old is he gonna be? 24, 25?
I think he's Social Security. I think he's eligible for retirement. He's eligible to be.
Well, no, you have to remember he's a 6th year guy though.
Oh yeah. Still 25. He'd have to be like an 8.
So
he got into college 24.
He got into college at 18. By the time the draft comes around,
I bet he's 24. Yeah. Lat and Kobe are going to play tomorrow night, it sounds like. Yeah. Lat was out with an ankle injury, and Kobe back. I think Kobe had a back spasm issue. So I think not having Lat really hurt them.
Oh, absolutely.
Defensively, he's not a terrible rebounder, and he's a pretty good defender. I think it really hurt Nebraska not having him.
Yeah, they're going to need all the length they can get this year. I mean, that was obvious against Western Illinois. And I personally was surprised how big of a void there was without
I was
Lat.
too.
I thought that, I mean, obviously you were going to notice him not be there, but to the extent that they did, it was kind of eye-opening.
I was surprised.
They just need the length.
I mean, I was surprised with the fact that you were getting out rebounded by so much. You didn't even. I mean, maybe he considered it, but you didn't even bring a Eduardo Andre. And I know people are like, "Oh, Oleg's not going to play," but at least get a 7-footer in there to offer some type of length and not get the rebounds, but at least slow somebody down from getting a rebound or make them think twice. Like,
Bock and I were talking the fact that Lat wasn't playing. You thought Wilhelm might play with Walker, and they didn't try that combination at all. Instead, they had C.J. Wilcher in there, who's 6'5". So you're going down.
They were going for more scoring.
Yeah.
That's what they were trying to get more shooters in there, and nobody shot well.
I was surprised they never adjusted, and maybe they thought that it was going to eventually just that's the way they're going to play this year, and it was going to turn out that their talent would rise above. But the whole game, like you could tell, they're getting out rebounded from the beginning. It's like maybe at some point, maybe your game plan isn't working, and you should go to a bigger.
Maybe
lineup.
Fred and the coaches thought rebounding is kind of more of a want to, which he kind of is, and they thought that their guys would want to grab more boards, and they apparently didn't.
Bock has said tomorrow night's game is a must win. I don't think you were kidding.
No,
it's a must win.
We're going must win already.
If you don't lose the first one, you don't have to win the second one, but you can't have 2 non-conference losses like that.
I mean,
not right away.
I mean, you should win it.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's a must win.
I think
you should win
they
it.
need to win tomorrow.
That's a
you
must
should
win
it.
They need to win tomorrow. And Sam Houston State. I don't know anything about him.
But Robin says they rebound at a high level.
They are junkyard dogs. I think Trey McGowan said that they will shoot it just to get the rebound, is what he said.
That's right. Just slam it off the backboard.
That's like me at the Koppel YMCA. I lost my dribble.
Rain Man.
I lost my dribble. I need
Moses
to
Malone. They used to do that with Moses Malone. They would just throw it up on the backboard so he could go get it and dunk it
just
in.
Take it.
Yeah.
I lost my dribble.
Cam Newton has signed with the Carolina Panthers. What do you
Super
guys...
Cam is back.
Yeah.
Super Cam back to Carolina, showing the S on his chest. It's going to be great.
He's getting paid $4.5 million, at least $4.5 million the rest of the year. $10 million contract.
Is that more than he was making with the Patriots?
It is
unbelievable.
It is. He signed like a vet minimum, whatever it was.
Well, he had the benefit of Sam Darnold being horrible too. Anything will be an improvement over that.
Sam Darnold started good, and then
his first 3, and then his quarterback rating in the last 4 games has been the worst in the NFL.
He's done as a starter, I think. He's now the career backup.
Poor guy.
Yeah, then he got banged up against the Falcons, I believe. Which, there's 8 weeks left in the NFL season, something like that. He's getting paid $4.5 million in 8 weeks.
That's not bad.
It's called need.
It's good work if you can get it.
Unbelievable.
That's it for the pregame. We are leaving. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday, with our picks of density.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be doing all that sorts of fun on Friday with no game day this weekend, but lots of partying going on with the happy hour in the studio. Nick and Rico on the way next.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was